9 that we just watched. I'm looking at now what could RedX possibly bring to the table that's even better than that.
Yeah, because, I mean, this is the team we didn't even introduce them properly. RedX coming through with a pretty much indomitable season, only dropping the one game to, of course, the 7th Moon squad, who's already qualified. And all of this new best of 5 going to be coming out to see who else gets that promotion into the Golden Sparks. And immediately we're into our draft. RedX choosing to take out the Pockets, and Haze, just this most consistent ban that we've seen so far, denied out by 789.
Yeah, they do not want to play against this hero. Clearly, they think it's very powerful, or they just don't like playing against it. When I think of their style and think, is Haze particularly good against their style? It doesn't really feel like it will have a noticeable impact on how they operate, having Haze in the game, but clearly they don't want to play against it. Mirage first pick, very, very common first pick throughout the pro scene at the moment. Offers you a lot in terms of map control, and of course he's a very strong laner in the solo setup, but he can operate in a duo setup as well, as we saw in the last game.
Yeah. Pretty consistent. Mirage, wouldn't be surprised. I have been surprised to not see any Yamato coming out here.
I just, as soon as the draft came of Altruism, that thought crossed my mind. I was like, we've seen this Haze ban. We haven't seen Yamato touch so far today.
Certainly is again a Feast of Famine style character and really excels on a lot of farm. But teams, especially from what we've seen from 789, very happy to go for those early to mid game dominators and then excel that into a sub 20-minute lead. You know, someone like Yamato wants a bit of time. They want 5 or 10 minutes to be able to stack up their inventory a little bit more. And instead, their first pick going to be the Paradox. First time we've gotten to see this. It was banned out previously in both those. And then no surprise to see them bring in their stalwart, their big boy of Warden, going to be able to run it down and contribute to team fights in the most oppressive ways in terms of the sustain and the damage he can put out.
We haven't really thought about this hero being an oppressive hero, but he has operated that way for 789 for sure. He seems to always win his lane alongside whoever it was. It was Kelvin in the previous game. It was Dynamo in the game before that. And then they just kind of parlay that into a huge advantage in terms of taking space, and then obviously those objectives like we mentioned. So again, GL Dartian, he had top souls in both of those two games, most player damage in both of those two games, really excelling on that hero. The Paradox was banned out in both of the first two games as well, and as soon as it's available, they go for that pick. So clearly this is a hero they value extremely highly, and I'm interested to see why that is and what they can do with it, and does it change anything in their playstyle. You could definitely see a player like Keo, who was playing the Vindicta before, excelling on a hero like Paradox. Then on the other side, RedX go for the Kelvin. We know how strong of a laner he can be, so he can help win you from that perspective, and then you can kind of fall back into a more supportive role, offering a lot of utility with the Frozen Shelter, the Beam, and of course the raw healing from the grenades.
Yeah, I mean, Kelvin's such a great pick, and it wouldn't be surprised to see him also transition into more of that carry role. Certainly offers a lot if they do get a good start, but it all comes down to the team. It's just such a difficult hero to pick off, and you know, that's the one similarity I see between something like a Kelvin and a Warden. They can both do lots of damage, but are still very tanky characters in their own right. They're not something like a Vindicta or a Great Talon or even an Infernus, who can put out huge amounts of damage, but are very susceptible to ganks, to big people running at them, to maintaining their presence in and around the team fight for extended periods of time. These guys are both laying in huge damage, and then, you know, just making sure to not die is a very key part of Deadlock, right? You don't do so much with your 20,000 souls if you're sitting in respawn. Wraith comes out, not a bad pick, and not surprising as well to see a Viscous on the other side, son.
Been super popular today, Viscous, in general. He's not so strong that he's banned every time. He's not so weak that he gets skipped over. He offers you a lot of utility in and around the team fight zone. So a hero I like to see getting played quite a bit. The Wraith is an interesting one. I feel like we haven't seen Wraith have a ton of success today. Maybe it's just recency bias, but even thinking back earlier when we were casting, seems like that hero gets picked up every single game and it's on the losing side more often than not. It just feels like teams are struggling to find the space to make this hero work in a way that is actually that valuable. So we'll have to wait and see. RedX are, just as a reminder, they're coming in as the second place seed outside of the league stage. Of course, the top seed, 7th Moon, straight through to the Golden Spark division. So this is, we're expecting RedX team to be our strongest team here, and they come in with the Lady Geist as well. Strong laner, can solo up, but can tank up and output a ton of spirit damage as well.
And RedX has come through with a pretty dominant performance, having lost only the one game to our 7th Moon side. Other than that, they haven't dropped even a single match. And that's an impressive standpoint. I mean, they've met up against Sanctuary before and won that 2-0. So, I mean, these guys obviously have an answer for what 789 want to do. And where 789 now want to maybe push this is they're going, okay, our opponents have a bit of a greedy draft. You know, Lady Geist takes a little bit of time to really become the devastating force. Mirage is going to be able to contribute to a certain extent in those early fights, but everyone we're going with is run at your face and make sure that you can't stand your ground. Abrams picked up on top of that is a great example of a character who can come in. I mean, we saw in the previous match from completely off screen and flatten someone against the wall if they're not prepared.
Yeah, and he can kind of man up and play a very tanky frontlining style as well. He's a strong laner in a solo context as well, so he offers you a lot as a hero. Did cop a couple of nerfs here in the context of the broader nerf to healing, it is worth saying, so he's not quite as oppressive, I think, as he was before, but still a very, very strong hero. The Shiv, though, that's a very interesting pick. He kind of falls into, in my head, that same zone that Yamato operates out of, right? He received some buffs, I think, in the most recent patch, so he's a tiny bit stronger than he was this time 2 or 3 days ago. But I'm interested to see whether RedX can make this hero work, because there's another hero that I feel like we see just have these nothing games where he isn't able to get up to a point where he can start building momentum through the rage stacks and secure kills with his ultimate.
Yeah, it's definitely a character that requires you to do one. When they do actually go off, then you get everything comboing together, and it seems they can just slice and dice through an entire team. On the other side, slightly easier to execute and offers the best teamfight ultimate in the game. Dynamo once more makes his way onto the field, and I mean, we've seen 789. They understand this character. I wouldn't be surprised to see that comboed with a Lash as well. Just they did work so well together, but I mean, there were some great ultimates picked up there without the setup. Just the ability to work well in lane. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dynamo and Warden end up together again there. And then once you get out of the laning stages, not afraid to pop that ultimate on 2 players to get an objective. Not afraid to just hold back until everyone suck it on the other side. And I mean, this is a team that's doesn't want to spread out too far from RedX.
You said it now. Cashy said it in our production chat here. I was thinking it as soon as I saw the Dynamo. The Lash feels like it's a pick coming for one of these teams, either as a deny pick for, I think that's as much a deny pick as it is anything else. Obviously, the hero is great, don't get me wrong. Really, really strong hero. We know how dynamic he can be in the laning phase. He can solo up as needed, or he can play as part of a more utility role. And then we've got the Moan Krill. Kind of struggled, it's worth noting, the Moan Krill in the last match, but did more than enough to justify the pick with the setting up the combo, and more importantly, buying space for the Vindicta in lane 3 to help her really pop off Keo. Really was kind of far ahead of where you'd expect him to be, given how active he had been around the map, rotating early. But coming back to lane with the Moan Krill, who helped him secure a lot of kills with that assassinate. So I like this composition from 789. I'm interested to see what RedX can bring to the table. I think the comp is absolutely fine. It's workable. But I worry that if heroes like Shiv, Lady Geist, start to get behind, they might struggle to keep themselves in the game. And I worry that a quick look at the lanes. Shiv in the solo, once again the Viscous in the solo lane, very, very interesting. And then you've got M&K versus Lady Geist on the other side. That's an interesting lane, the Moan Krill Lady Geist. It's kind of a hard lane for both of those 2 heroes.
It's certainly a game of sustain between the 2 of them. Moan Krill has the ability to kind of shake off any of the poke damage that Lady Geist is going to be putting on, but doesn't necessarily jump in on top of the Lady Geist to challenge too much, or have to put themselves in a very risky position. Mid lane's pretty standard, someone to cause a little bit of a disruption, a tankier front line with some damage coming in over the top. No surprise to see the Warden and Dynamo together in lane number 2 here for Sanctuary 789, and up against the Wraith and Mirage, 2 actually very strong people in lane. The ability to get up those Jin stacks, to get the fire scarabs and the cards going through. There's a lot of things that I think Sanctuary 789 for their key lane, it feels like, is going to have to worry about. But welcome, guys. This is game number 1 of the grand finals here in Grit and Glory League Season 1, brought to you by Tactor.com.
Silver Dynamos as well. There's many elements to this particular game, and it is a best of 5 as well. So lots of opportunities to respond to what's happening. Speaking of response, Solar Hounds once again going to give a nice strong early start here for Sanctuary 789, finding the solo kill in his solo lane. 1.1k now up versus the 400 of Shiv. It's a pretty bad start if you're RedX.
Yeah, we say that Shiv was kind of a hero that needs to get going strong, and that's not the best way to do it. Go through the items early into the game, as we see Sanctuary 789 coming out with some of their key things, stuff like the Melee Lifesteal onto the Abrams. And the big one that was interesting to me was seeing the Viscous going for pure gun damage kind of bulls at the beginning of this. Obviously understands that role and the ability to challenge their opponents and exacerbate this early good start. Makes Shiv's lives even more difficult. It's pretty much got the sustain and the dodge that they need. Doesn't need to invest in vitality, but going to be coming through there. And this I think is going to be the big problem here for Mo and Krill. The ability to get that life drain. Lady Geist wants you to get in close, and then all that help that you've just taken, now I'll take it for myself, thanks.
Yeah, you can't really just jump in. That's kind of how Krill wants to play, as we see this lane that we were so worried about. It's going the wrong way as far as 789 are concerned. Good work from these two players. The Mirage has now rotated back into this lane, just trying to equalize things by going to that Shiv lane for just a little bit there, hopefully bring him back into the game. And so far it's been quite helpful, but it's still a 500 soul lead here as we see lane number 3. But it's hard for Krill to play up into this, because as you say, you can't just run in, steal life and then duel, because Lady Geist is like, this is exactly what I want to do as well. And I think if she gets any kind of lead here, it's going to be tough for Krill. But so far he's doing a really good job of last hitting as effectively as he can. Yeah.
And I mean, considering that one of Krill's most powerful level 1 spells is the sand to blind your opponent. Lady Geist, oh, what a shot! Kinetic Carbine, the flank comes out there, tries for the charge in there, and Paradox setting up a good opportunity to even things out and help out the Mo and Krill just a little bit. Doesn't come to any sort of fruition, but certainly gives Lady Geist something to think about and may give them the chance. On the other side, though, Mirage and Wraith, they are having the greatest time that they could in the beginning. These are two characters that have the ability to really cause havoc wherever they decide to make a show. They even get a kill on top of it as Maxicor on that Dynamo, gonna get sent back to spawn.
Second time he's died now, but it's been a very dynamic laning phase for both teams. We've seen a lot of rotations to the solo lanes. Of course, the Mirage moving over there to try and get that paradoxical swap comes out very quick to get that up. First play, well, not first play to get the ultimates, but one of the first, but he is going to put pressure. Is the Lash going to get out? Yes, he is. Slides around the corner. Fancy footwork here from the Lash.
Oh, really nicely played to be able to bait out that ultimate and still get out unscathed. Having a Kelvin next door, you've also got that ability. Now the second ultimate comes out. Telekinesis set up there by Infamous Runner and going to be able to pick up one, make it two. Ooh. Right then. Dominates the lane as they make a brief appearance across to the Melee Brethren.
And this is the difference between RedX versus what we saw from On The Way, right? That lane got absolutely... Oh, Krill's in trouble here. Big trouble. Is he going to go down? Such low HP. He needs one shot, but Paradox is back. Paradox is putting on the pressure. The Scorn will give him plenty of HP to work with. Now, Soul Exchange still on cooldown. Not even skilled yet. Still only 2.7k in the bank for the Lady Geist. And all of a sudden, what looked like a pretty even lane. Very one-sided, but here comes the Singularity.
Singularity, and then you got your Warden on the side, busy in the middle of Last Stand. That's a great way to try and threaten your opponents, and they managed to pick off this Mirage. A really good start for them as Lady Geist back into lane with a bit of a vengeance, but nice to see the ultimates coming out there early. People understand that cooldowns deserve to be used, and using it on a great position and aggressive posture as well, be able to pick up that kill. Certainly, even though the other one, I think was the Wraith, got out, it was not on a... It was more of a limp out of there than anything.
Yeah, but it's so important because that lane felt like it was getting out of hand from the Mirage and Wraith's perspective, right? So securing those couple of kills there, it's pretty much... Well, it's pretty even here. Yes, the Wraith still has a pretty healthy advantage over the rest of them, but... you're not letting this lane get as out of hand as it looked like it might. But from RedX's perspective again, you're kind of fine even going even in that lane, given how it seems like 789 have been operating, which is off the back of a Warden who's a good 1, 2, 3k souls ahead of the rest of the team. But oh my god, the movement, too good. Paradox comes in with the kinetic carbine and fixes his lane right up for a team.
What an intentional play coming out there, but they get themselves costing for it as a nice support of Dynamo just there backing up and getting everyone else. In fact, 789, they want to stick around. They want to fight this. G pays for that try to get something out of the end of that fight, but it was just too much. But like you say, the movement. Oh, the Paradox was hiding around in that mid tower for the longest period of time. Very intentional about the rotations and use that swap to full efficacy, and now actually trying to set up one more. Kinetic carbine charged up, easiest shot onto the shiv, misses the punch actually, and I think it baited it out, but still gets the job done, and that's more kills going the way of 789. This is the movement in the mid game that we wanted to see from them.
Yeah, so you banned here, right? Altruism. It all makes sense now why it was banned every time they play it. All ultimate from Eric comes out, not enough to help him get out the frozen shelter, freezing him in there and allowing him to secure the kill onto the Abrams. Game is all even. Steven's ultimate altruism 31k to 32k now with that garden falling. It's a little bit, it's still 1k, but now the other way. But this Paradox has been so exceptional at moving around the map and securing kills with that kinetic carbine. You can see now why it's been given such high priority in terms of bans by on the way especially.
Yeah, after 5 weeks, you know the personal flavor of your opponents, and I mean that there was a lot of respect in that previously, as Kelvin now overstays their welcome, and Kaio going to be able to pick that up. And Kaio was, of course, that Vindicta that we saw in the last game. More action continues as Mo and Krill makes for the ground. Actually, it takes a bit of a dive into the sand, still posturing around like they want to come out, but respects their opponents going in there. But I mean, you talk about the Paradox and the number of rotations that are coming out, still sitting at the highest number of souls on the map, just putting it out there.
Yeah, because every time she goes somewhere, they get a kill, right? I don't think we've seen, maybe the very first rotation into that lane number 4, she didn't quite secure a kill. Every time since then, it's been at least 1 kill. So it's really been perfect execution, often converting it into a tower as well, a guardian. So they've been playing off the back of this Paradox so effectively, and as you say, highest net worth, and that's helped the Warden get back into the game as well. He's highest net worth alongside as well.
Slowing Hex shuts down the Mirage from getting out there, but still had that card, the teleport, to be able to get up and over the bridge. And great attempt from Sanctuary 789 to shut down one of the most elusive characters in the game, but does not come to any sort of fruition. At least gives them some space to keep charging forward, but they would have loved to pick that down and shut away one of the biggest potential carries on their opponent's side. Instead, the action, frenetic as always, continues now in the final lane. But I mean, actually, action everywhere. There's just no stop towards us. Paradox continues this fight, and Dartian on the Warden also going to be involved in that, going to pad their stats with a couple of extra souls.
He almost missed that kill completely. He looks like he didn't know where the Lash was, and he didn't see him when he came around the corner, so he sprinted straight past the Lash. Thankfully turned in time to secure that kill. But we can see now RedX kind of just forcing out some towers here. Force the cube out onto the Mo and Krill. Cube ball comes out as well. Look to get aggressive here. Tornado will keep the Mirage safe, and they're going to kill the Goo Man. No, not quite able to. So a lot of HP traded out there, but eventually, once the dust settles here, it's going to be all even Stevens up in that lane.
Buffs coming up right now, and the chain certainly makes it harder to catch. Maxicor going to pay with their life, and one of the first teams to actually contest the 789 are going for that, and they passed it around and they lost their big Dynamo, and not a great way to secure that. So into the hands, at least one of the buffs goes here for RedX. Not sure who picked up the other one, but a great start for it. And Sanctuary 789, considering that last game, certainly been restricted in terms of their control of the field.
Yeah, you can see the difference. It was actually Paradox who picked up the gun buff in the other lane, just FYI. So a hero that can make great use of that, move around the map, use that extra movement speed from the kinetic carbine to try and set up some kills, as we've seen them do so effectively. Here we go, gets the swap off. The backup is there from the Viscous. Will they get this kill? No, as you say, Wraith too elusive, so that's an ultimate burn. But every time Wraith shows in the lane, she's getting put under pressure, forced back. It's not really affecting her farm, but I feel like she'd be further ahead right now than she already is. but it's kind of telling that the Wraith, in spite of all the pressure she's been put on, still top farm on her team.
Yeah, how far ahead would she be, though, if it wasn't in that situation? And look at Sanctuary. They've got layers of players right now. There's always someone. You escape the frying pan into the fire, puts up the frozen shield to try and get out, actually. Just buying some time. Still pretty healthy, and some teammates in and around the area means that they can look to turn this fight if they want. It's a really nice launch going on there. Telekinesis comes in afterwards. The goo ball just... evaporating from the scene. Decides to get out. Combo instead, dedicated on top, and both teams are ready to get involved here. Paradox eventually goes down. Kaio overextends. Eric Prince getting the original kill that they were looking for, but Dartian, he's the one to watch. There's too many players around still for 789 for this to be comfortable for RedX. They're going low. They're hiding in corners. They're putting out whatever damage that they can, but there's not enough. In fact, still, they're fighting on almost no HP, and Adrian, the only one that's still involved. All trades that we like to see, and one else kind of starting to specialize, getting up a couple of their big items, the slowing hexes, etc. coming out here, especially for 789. But Dartian is in the right place at the right time, going to be able to pick up a kill, and Solar Hound also finds the carry on the other side, the Mirage taken down. So where 789 lost the previous fight, they immediately have an answer.
Yeah, that seemed like a bit of a paused brain fart there. He kind of just waddled out into lane on low HP, threw a grenade, and it was like, oh my god, there's somebody here. And he just got run down and killed him. I don't know, I think Soul Exchange was still on cooldown as well, so he really had no options there other than to get gunned down by the Warden, who's just increasing that lead. You know, every time we look, he's got a bigger and bigger lead over the rest of the game, and he's using it so effectively to assassinate and secure kills. But you're gonna have to wait and see here. It's 12.5 minutes, still a little bit away from the next objectives here. Looks like the urn was taken out. I wasn't actually paying attention to who ended up grabbing that.
Yeah, actually, I missed that as well. We'll just say that it was all because of the pause for both of the teams and us as casters. It's a complicated game to keep track of, guys. If you guys know in Twitch chat, please let us know. But yeah, Urn quickly snatched up. It's certainly less of a feature in terms of that time to set up for a whole team. As you see your opponents running across the map, that change to the mid has been an interesting part of the experimental patch that came in this last weekend, as we see teams both just kind of clearing their sides of the map, taking away all the easy farm. They have this downtime between the fights and have the opportunity as Paradox once more takes the roofs in enemy territory, looking for something, but not wasting any time to keep up that farming rate.
Yeah, she kind of has a decent sense of where a lot of the players are, and she knows there's no one hero that can shut her down. You can see Lady Geist knows she's there, is looking for her, but with the movement speed from the kinetic carbine, you can get in and out pretty quickly. And she's using that mobility to kind of farm aggressively and kind of almost steal farm from her opponents. But things have kind of, you know, for the time being, just calmed down just a little bit. It seems like that pause removed some of the momentum from both teams' game plan here, as we see once again Paradox looking for something, not able to find it just yet. But we are less than a minute away from 15 minutes, so less than a minute away from the buffs and the next urn.
Yeah. Those buffs are going to be big. We've seen both teams show intention towards them, really prioritizing getting those. I mean, for those of you guys who are still new to Deadlock, it's equivalent to about 3,000 items, so getting that on one of your players is really nice. Instead, up until that moment, he was just content to try to shove out the waves and give them a little bit more presence on the map, and of course the information that comes with also having your lane shoved out is great, as the Sanctuary starts lingering around the right-hand side. Zone number 3 has 5 players ready and waiting on this bridge to at least confirm one of them. On the other side, Viscous making their way towards the bridge, and there we go. Everyone posturing around it. A little bit of a movement one. Going to go on to Kaio on this Paradox, who's been making most of the tracks. And a good play, I think, from Viscous to not actually try to challenge. No, Viscous actually picked up the survival buff as well. He sniped it. Oh, big lapse there for RedX.
He just kind of waddled in and grabbed it away. They were probably content. They put 4 or 5 players on the one buff, and they were kind of like, yeah, whatever. And Viscous kind of just went over, looked and said, I can do it, I can get it, and he just walked in there and grabbed it. So this is an advantage they might not have expected to have here. They've got both buffs, and now they're grouping up. They've even grabbed the urn. No, Wraith has the urn at the moment. That's kind of a deny take as much as anything here. But you don't really want to fight here into the double buff here for Sanctuary 789 if you are RedX, but they might not have a choice here.
Yeah, and I mean, Sanctuary's also got the positioning advantage right now. Taking the high ground, they can poke and prod in. RedX looking for something again. We got a Lash on the high ground. There comes the big Dynamo ultimate. The frozen shelter over the top, though, to stop this in its tracks. Big play coming out from the Kelvin to be able to turn this fight around. And maybe this is RedX just going, we know where you are, or we know we want to take this fight. They still want to try and confirm the urn at the end of it. Soul urn has been returned, so the fight actually just becomes academic after this. And right now, Sanctuary, they had everything that they needed going into that fight, but they get nothing.
And quietly, Shiv's made a problem of himself, right? We haven't spoken about him once this game, and all of a sudden after a team fight like that, he's the most farmed character on his team. If anybody's out of position, he can track them down, take them out. But that frozen shelter, so critical. Nobody could follow up on the singularity, allow them to secure 2 kills, and this is what happens in Deadlock. One objective needs 2, a team fight win allows them to secure this, but looks like there's a contest here from the Sapphire Flame.
Optimistic, and they get it! The sniper's out there! The lift up from the Dynamo was everything that they need. They don't want to lose too much as a result of this. They've dropped a couple on each side there. Kelvin going to go down, and RedX starting to clean up the kills, but certainly not unanswered in any way. Telekinesis shuts down the Paradox in place through the Cosmic Veil. Still has this movement speed buff out, but it's not enough to escape here. So an expensive trade comes out, but denying that objective was so big, and even getting a couple of kills on the end, making full use of that Rejuvenator buff. Suddenly, RedX, this isn't as clean as they were wanting, and they've got to now start thinking of other objectives.
It's still very good for them, right? You still win a team fight. You're so annoyed. You're so annoyed at this point because everything would have been perfect if you just blocked out that cap. But as you say, the Dynamo coming in. Oh, they're going to lose the Shiv here as well, though. So this is actually not good for them. The combo as well to secure a kill onto the Mirage potentially. Are they going to get it? Yes, they do. It's all of a sudden turned completely on its head. Altruism, it was looking fine for RedX. They would be annoyed that they lost the Rejuvenator buff out, but with these kills and these objectives that they can now turn them into, this is not looking good for RedX.
Oh, you're in a good ball, but there's a wall of ice around you, friend. You are in a bad position. I think that Sanctuary is going to be content to just let their gooey monstrosity as the sacrificial lamb just gets squished there. And a great way to turn that around. But yeah, up until that, at the end of that, 7-8-9, they took full advantage of that Rejuvenator buff. There was enough trades from the other side that they just went, okay, we're going to be 6 before they are, and we're going to run it down a lane and try and force an issue. Bit of a trade coming off at the end of it, but Soul Lead is still closer together than it would be expected, guys. Still favoring RedX a little bit, but not when you get grabbed up like that. Infernus Runa, you got nowhere to run, no matter how mobile you are. And now on top of it, we get this big singularity onto so many. No kills really coming out. Lash, the only one, the victim of that at the end of this fight, but Sanctuary, they're around. They've still got so much to sustain. The Dynamo has dropped his big ultimate, but he's still got the supportive mentality to be able to keep everyone topped up. Here comes the Shiv. What can the most fed character do? We've said it can be oppressive. Gets the one kill, jumps in aggressively, takes out the Mo and Krill. Looking for more now. There's an Abrams and a Viscus lingering around. They do shut down the Shiv though, so not too much more. And both teams still want to force the issue here.
Oh. Serpentine charge there from the Abrams, somehow dodging the hit on the Mirage, but that really didn't feel like a good team fight commitment from RedX there. There were 2 players down. Yes, the Shiv got the kill, and clearly they felt like with the HP deficit or advantage that they have, that it was still their team fight to win, but the Shiv overextending, going down. Can they get some kills though now that they've got the numbers back up here? Who's in the cube? It's Viscus. He's likely to go down, and no, it wasn't Viscus. Viscus died somewhere completely unrelated here. Who's that they're chasing? It doesn't really matter because RedX, now that they've got the numbers, they can regroup and they've taken the team fight back. It's so back and forth, but the Warden's farm, Altruism, 34k. The closest on the opposing team is 27k. He's so far ahead. He's so farmed. If he can just, if he gets an unstoppable or something like that, he might actually be unstoppable if he doesn't already have it. But yeah, this is looking really difficult for RedX. But again, you feel like if that Wraith can keep themselves in the game, if they don't use players, the longer this game goes on, the better it is for RedX.
Yeah, now's when the split push really starts, right? You get your Wraith to charge out, it's got the mobility, can put in the damage. I mean, you've got 2 walkers in the center, which are, of course, much harder to try to chew down if you're the side of RedX. But, I mean, right now, I think the big task on the cards is we've got to defend our shrines. We've got to defend our patron. Everyone from 789 has made their way across here. Every one of the lanes is pushed out, and a nice aura dropped out to keep everyone in and around this fight. They decided to do a bit of a sneaky rotation around the side, actually, just eliminating these base guardians there to make sure that they got a clear way in and out and try to bait everyone in. Combo comes out there. In fact, all their ultimates being dropped out there. A big singularity on the background claims 2 lives. Maxicore going to be going down there. Thanks to Infamous Ruiner, but I mean, here comes the Warden, here comes the big beefy boy, drops the last stand, not afraid to step up toe-to-toe, but doesn't actually get anything out of it. Adriano gonna go down on that Mo and Krill, and trades come out. RedX may have made a successful defense here, and in fact, yeah, the Warden has to now be worried about what you've got left. Takes out the Shiv once more, overextending a little bit, and here's where the big part comes in. The Rejuvenator buffs are going to come back in 10 seconds. Everyone's going to have the speed, and Warden, he's sticking around. He's got a cube to back him, and he says, no, get me out of this thing. I'm here to do damage, and Shrine going to be falling. Flex slot unlocked, and suddenly 30 seconds without 2 of your characters. Oh, no. There goes the Lady Geist as well. Second Shrine going to be falling. 47 seconds without it. Here comes a big grip trying to throw someone out of position, but it's not enough. There's too many Sanctuary players around there. Combo on the ground waiting for this patron to go into the weaker states, and now you've lost 4. 2 of them going to be coming up shortly, but I mean, that's all thanks to the new buff because of the transformation of the patron, resetting that by 20 seconds. But Sanctuary, they don't seem... Oh, that's the better call. They're just going to head back. They've got what they came for.
Yeah, they lost the Rejuvenator buff now, so it doesn't make sense to try and force something here if you can't guarantee you'll win an easy team fight here. So they're happy. They feel like they're far enough ahead that they don't need to close the game out right this second, and I think they're right about that. They've got all the objectives they need now for one final push to take this out. They just keep the map closed down, don't lose anybody. They either pull RedX out of their spawn for potential ganks and easy kills, or they should vacuum up all the farm on the map, get all the objectives, wait for that last Rejuvenator, and make one final push to claim the weakened patron.
And you can see that's exactly the idea. They've taken all the farm on the enemy's right-hand side of the map. They've gone and set themselves up for the buffs. I mean, even have the time and the luxury to be able to decide who those buffs are going to go on to. The urn is up right there, and Abrams actually, no, it's going to be the Warden going to be running. No, that's not the Warden.
Mo and Krill.
That's the Mo and Krill going to be picking that up and walking it straight uncontested up towards the center. So a win of a team fight leads to the objectives, leads to the weakened patron, leads to... It's a game. This just domino effect that these teams know how to exacerbate.
Yeah, and it's again 789 being so cognizant of all these timings, right? Obviously, if you've been playing the game for a while, you know all of these things, but it seems like they never miss an opportunity to take advantage of these various objectives around the map, and then use them to gain advantages in terms of map control as well. The lanes are still very far pushed in at the moment, so they're happy to just pull back, take all the farm, let the lanes push out. They're probably going to coalesce in a moment here and try and find a pick on something like this Wraith, who's in a very aggressive position. Yes, she's got the Shadow Weave going, but it doesn't last that long, and she needs to be careful. Oh, Mo and Krill. Oh, there we go.
Oh, no! How do you get a kinetic carbine shot in the air like that? But what a play from the Kelvin coming out there with the frozen shelter, just separates off the Wraith from everyone, and then you drop in the Lash over the top. Optimistic singularity coming out from the Dynamo to try and be like, okay, you're going to put me in the team. That's the initiation I needed. Still, this team from 789, they are content to be fighting it out, slowly retreating backwards with everything that they can, but I don't know how much you're going to be able to salvage out of this fight. So much intention being shown by RedX, and they've got the chase ability. Mirage decides to take a step forward, and they're just leapfrogging one by one whoever's got the most HP. Of course, Shiv gonna go down. Just it overextends a little bit too much, and Lash gets out on the sliver of HP. Are gonna still lose the Kelvin, so actually trading out at the end of this fight. This gives the opportunity for Sanctuary to get back into this, and they're starting to stand their ground. They get another kill right now on the low HP Lash, and where RedX, you get your opportunity, you get the team fight that you wanted in the initiation, the pickoffs, but then you go and throw it away by charging down the map.
How many times do we have to watch this altruism where they get this advantage and they keep going and going and going? The respawns come out, or just the flex back and the bounce back. And Paradox, she's been so good in this game, so critical for keeping their team in the game, securing starts to team fights with that paradoxical swap. Pressure is building though. Wraith ulti telekinesis did go out, doesn't find any kills for the moment, and in fact Infamous Runner will go down. They do trade the Paradox, but the Paradox will say, what do I care? You're all dead, and I've got 5 teammates ready to bear down on your patron.
Oh, what can you do if you're a Shiv? Yeah, you got the farm for it, but Shiv is
Oh,
someone
the
who's
even
not gonna
singularity.
be- And there we go, actually, straight into the singularity. Really nice frozen shelter to try come out and defend the patron. But everyone's in here already. They're turning their attention. Game number 1 turned on.
That reputation. Once again, Mr. Dartian on the
Dartian.
Warden. Most farmed, not just by a little bit. What is that? 7k or something higher than his own Paradox. Nowhere near anybody on the other team, or rather nobody on the team's near him. Highest kills, highest objective damage, highest player damage. He is the linchpin around which this team operates. And I think maybe you send a respect ban his way going into game number 2.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you execution is certainly not something that teams can on the fly just change things up immediately. Maybe it just comes down to, again, taking your own personal comfort picks. And the ban actually coming out as we swap and we go on to the I did see it in our production chat a second ago about who's on which side. RedX again going to be on the amber hand. Takes out neither of the problematic, and then no, okay. I didn't expect the Paradox ban to come out from 789.
What's happening? 789 banned their own Paradox. Very, very strange. But I mean, this is a team. You can't argue that this team doesn't have a plan, right? That they don't know what they're doing. So it will have to see when this Warden gets picked, right? They let the Warden through. Do they pick it straight up? I mean, this Warden is such a fascinating hero because it's not a hero that I'm like, this hero is a huge, strong hero in the meta that needs to be dealt with and picked or banned every single time. It's just that 789 are making such mincemeat of teams with the Warden. And I mean, there you go. First pick, why not? A Bebop, though, what the hell?
All right, things were going along pretty smoothly in the draft. I mean, the Mirage on the other side, we've waxed lyrical about that being so strong, and then you go Warden. Then that's pretty standard. Then you go Bebop. Bebop question mark, big question mark. I mean, we have seen a big change up to the way Bebop is played. Far less reliance on cheesy.
That might not be the finalized pick. That's apparently a hover, so they might pick something else in that slot.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Kelvin, all right, now we're going with stability.
I love the Kelvin. I've spoken a lot about this hero. I like what he brings to the laning phase. I like that it's very clear what his role is in games. We saw the Kelvin operate very effectively for RedX in that previous game. A couple of very key frozen shelters. Even if they weren't saving lives, they were buying time for reinforcements to show up. You think about that fight in the mid-boss area that RedX ended up actually winning. And then countering out the Dynamo from 789 in that game as well. I think it makes a lot of sense for 789 to pick that hero up nice and early, keeps the draft wide open for a whole range of other heroes going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, it combos well with the Dynamo if 789 does want to pick it up again, because if you get that really early jump in there, Kelvin's someone who can stay alive for a little bit, and if you trap enough people, it buys the time for Dynamo to close the distance and lock them in afterwards. On the other side, reliance on damage continues as RedX going to be taking up the Vindicta against someone that requires a certain amount of counterplay, whether it's the pressure in the lane to stop them off to a good start, or at least just being able to shut them down in the air, something like an Unstoppable, or the Lash pick that someone like 789 has been very content to be picking up. So we'll see how well you can get off there, but obviously content to keep a little bit more distance on their opponents.
I can only assume we're about to see a Dynamo pick here from 789, right? You've got your Warden, you're one half of that deadly laning duo. You pick the Dynamo up as soon as possible as well. No reason not to. It's not a hero with obvious weaknesses or counters that you need to be worried about. In fact, there are no heroes like that really in Deadlock at the moment. But it's a hero that 789 have shown they're very, very comfortable running. You've still got the Lash in the pool if you want to pick that up a little bit earlier. The draft is obviously still wide open here, but the Vindicta is a very interesting pick because I don't know why I don't know. I'm not a huge
I don't know why it
fan
has
of
the
hero.
priority.
Yeah,
There's so many other good characters. I mean, Haze finally makes it through after not being banned, but certainly damage all the way, it seems RedX is going. But I'm with you. The priority in terms of picks, these Dynamos, these Lashes have been, even something like Viscous has been such a popular pick. And then you go with something that's never been really heavily contested. Surely you could be picking that up later into your draft when you know a little bit better, or you've managed to deny some of this stuff. But yeah, apparently the RedX side wants to show their full hand in terms of where their offensive opportunities are coming from.
Yeah, they do, but on the other side, that Lash does come out, as we've alluded to. Such a powerful hero in the current meta. Ability to start team fights, ability to roam early on is really unmatched in a lot of ways. You know, the Paradox is so good at starting team fights in the previous game, but the Lash can do exactly the same thing. The Lady Geist now coming out for RedX, another strong hero, another strong laner in a solo lane. Was in the last game, didn't really feel the impact of the Lady Geist in the last game. I think she was in the last game.
Yeah.
She was. So interesting pick. And back to the Moan Crow. I mean, 789 are saying, well, you know what we're going to do. We're just going to do it again until you stop us.
If it's not broken, don't fix it right now, and that's the way to go. No obvious counters towards this. Moan Crow was again that nice bit of roaming. You got that lockdown to be able to enable the damage and that chunkiness. I mean, we saw in lane was even really good. The ability to go get that scorn at the exact right moment just pumps you up by 300 HP. Abrams finally something to shore up some of the weaknesses here on the RedX side. Gives you the tanky front line and finally something to combo with the Vindicta. I wouldn't even be surprised to see the two of them laning together there. Still feeling like they need a little bit more disruption, but Abrams is certainly a good start. Unfortunately, the best disruptor in the game right now, it seems, once more put firmly into the hands of 789.
Yeah. I wonder what hole there is in this comp. I wouldn't mind a little bit stronger initiation here. Yes, Abrams can get the job done, but he doesn't feel like that's his major role. He kind of is a frontline tank as much as anything, and a hero that can kind of control his own lane without much assistance from those around him. Look, I'm looking at the other team. When you pick the Dynamo, when it's your turn to pick, you pick the Dynamo, right? But the other side, for RedX, do they pick the Dynamo themselves? They ran it before, I think, so they're pretty comfortable with that hero. It makes a lot of sense in the competition. I mean, it's not obviously counted.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually.
They were missing a support hero, so yeah, the Ivy makes a lot of sense in that way. And they go for the 7.
Adds a little bit more damage. Someone to dedicatedly go towards the jungle and the engagements that they want to take.
Yeah, I think that is for sure. But again, you just feel like it was a minor execution thing. Like, even if they play that previous game exactly the same way and they don't feed multiple shift kills like that, they're probably comfortable. So there's not actually that much you need to change here if you're RedX in terms of your approach. Looking at the lanes though, Abrams up against Lash. I think that's a little bit Abrams' favorite, but it shouldn't be too one-sided. Looking on the other side of the map, again, I feel like it's a little bit Lady Geist's favorite, but Viscous shouldn't be forced out of lane. And then in the middle lanes, you've got Kelvin Warden. That is a rough lane to play into, as Haze Mirage. Haze is a poor laner at the best of times, and into Kelvin Warden, she's going to have a real bad time. And then in this third lane, Vindicta, Ivy up against Moan Crow. 7. You see the problem with sticking your Abrams as your solo tanking hero in a solo lane? You've got very squishy lanes at the moment as RedX.
Yeah. I especially think this lane number 2 could be a complete stomp and these guys could run over them. I think there's a little bit more opportunity for someone like Vindicta to outsnipe the 7, but again, you don't have the same wave clear opportunities. So if Mo and Crow and 7 decide that they want your tower, there's not much you're going to do about that right now. So that might be the intention, is just free up these guys, send 7 into the jungle and Mo and Crow into the ganks. So it would be a really nice play for Sanctuary once more. But we are here quite firmly in game number 2 for Grit and Glory Season 1, brought to you by Tactor.com. And the Silver Dynamos are looking to crown their first champion ever in Deadlock history. So RedX, they're 1 game behind. Can they bring it back in game number 2?
Vindicta's already been back to base and back, so that lane's having a bit of a hard time, as we knew it might. Moan Crow 7, that's a nice balanced lane. Moan Crow holds up the front line, can use the scorn to kind of trade HP, and the 7, he's a very, very good He's very good at pushing lanes out with the spirit damage as Lash, kind of just looking around, seeing what he can do. Haze has now rotated into this Abrams lane. Not for the first time we've seen lane number 1 get reinforcement from RedX, or the tornado gets him out of the binding word.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's still the binding word combined with the Kelvin beam slow. That's a dangerous place. You got to be managing your cooldowns. You've got to be managing your stamina there. So I mean, they're already taking refuge behind their own guardians there, and it's going to be a tough lane to carry on going. Abrams versus Lash again. Abrams has all the space to move around. Still with 1,700 in the bank, they're finally going to be going back and picking up that. I mean, even stops and gets a couple of boxes along the way. Feeling comfortable is our Abrams.
He likes the feel of a heavy purse, altruism. I think that's what it comes down to. I'm interested to see what his first item is actually going to be here. But yeah, this lane
Melee
is...
last steal. Gotta be.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, you don't need to save... How much does that cost? Isn't that a 500 item? Yeah, so why would you...
Got plenty of other items on top, but yeah.
2,000 gold before you get your first item. And then you still spend it on a 500 gold item. Anyways, laning wise, it's looking pretty solid here for both teams actually. But HP, okay, Infernus runner, a lane we thought would struggle actually finding the first opportunity for kills, but they do fire back. And you worry that man right there, the Warden, he's the guy you've got to be stopping from getting farm.
Yeah, who are we more worried about losing? Our support Kelvin or our carry Haze? And giving that gold pretty much exclusively towards the Warden is pretty much worst case scenario. So I'm pretty sure Sanctuary are going to be quite content with being able to pick up that trade as the rest of the lanes again. Lady Geist in a rather dire situation decides to go aggressive. 33 HP, has got a single person with the Vindicta in tow, but I mean that was very nearly a costly mistake.
She's having a bad time in this lane. Altruism 2.1k up against 3.0 now. Combo at the ready, but in this lane, a lot of damage coming through onto the Kelvin, dropping low. He's still got level 1 nade, it looks like, so no healing coming out from that just yet. But very even laning phase so far. Slight lead to our blue team, but HP wise, it seems like they're putting way more pressure onto the Sanctuary, onto RedX at the moment.
Yeah, especially in terms of the building damage that's starting to come out from 789. They really are pushing the walkers on a lot of these lanes, or at least the guardians, and getting in that play. Vindicta takes towards the sky, just outranging the Mo and Kroll. Really nice play from them, but yeah, Mo and Kroll actually a little bit dicey in terms of the HP. Might want to go back or needs to play carefully with these scorns to get the maximum efficacy. Just going to let this lane push him towards them so it doesn't have to put themselves in a risky position. Then Abrams now with the... Hey, look at that. A melee lifesteal. Back up to full HP. Does have a certainly... making life a little bit more difficult for Lash. The one lane that Sanctuary is actually really struggling on.
I'm guessing he just really wanted to control the lane tempo and didn't want to spend any time going back to the shop, right? When he was holding on to that 2,000 gold, the 7. Yeah. This is what he's good at, farming up jungles with his abilities. He can kind of open up lanes by doing that. But Kelvin, he's rotated now into lane number 1 here, looking to kill their Haze. Do they get the kill? Yes, they do. There's a Warden here as well.
And that is how you secure a lane that's struggling right now. Is what a great way to vacate lane number 2. And yet they're still going to be coming back. In fact, this Mirage needs to be a little bit careful because he's only got the briefest moment of time, as Vindicta has also not gone back to that lane. Instead, swapped now with the Haze. Vindicta still sitting in lane number 4, helping out the Lady Geist. And Lady Geist has actually got a bit of time without this Viscous who's been sent back to base.
Yeah, it was the Mo and Krill, wasn't it? Who was in that solo lane, I thought, but I could be wrong. But anyways, it doesn't matter. She's struggling. She was struggling. She's struggling a little bit less, but Lash has been taken down. This is one of the more active Hazes I've seen, Altruism, in the laning phase. She's really moved around, looking for any opportunities to help secure kills or get some farm on her own, because her lane is very tough here. But the laning phase is all but broken down here. A lot of movement. This Warden, Kelvin, and now the 7 doing a lot of work, trying to force advantages where they can, which is what 789 has been so good with.
Vindicta starting to move back and forth across these central lanes. Will have the ability to put in some snipes now. Everyone, of course, has their ultimates, and Lash going to be looking for one. Goes up over the top. Ultimate comes out from Mo and Krill, though, to be able to get the combo. Abrams tries to drop that ultimate, but decides to go back in instead of making a foray back towards his own side of the field, and pays with their life as a result. So RedX taking another casualty, but 7, a big pickup. Chi managing to find that kill onto Kaio, who was picked apart. And you know, with the 7, a typical thing there is you're also going to be dropping a pretty big bag if you haven't spent your unsecured souls.
That's a good point, actually. He did spend at least some time in the jungle, so I wonder how big the bag he has was. I suppose if he was smart, he would have stopped off at a shop before trying to do anything aggressive, but we'll have to wait and see. A little bit of an overextension there from the Vindicta. We saw her pushing close to the Walker there, and I assumed she was safe to do so, but the rotation comes through and gets the punish off. So once again, just a slight overextend from RedX, and maybe that's how they like to play. They like to try and pull as much out of any situation as they can, even if it means occasionally they go a little bit too far. It hasn't quite worked for them, yeah, I'd have to say here, Altruism, in the first game, but in this game it's all even Stevens, and they're the ones pushing a second Guardian down.
Yeah, I think this is a big part of this game. We're a minute and a half away from buffs and urns spawning, so everyone trying to get their lane equilibriums right, take out the enemy towers. A big pickup, a very important timing pickup, shuts down Chi, who was starting to run away a little bit, has the highest number of souls on their team, and that's just a great way to stop a Vindicta in their tracks. Now, Sanctuary, they've got all their lanes a little bit in a bad position, barring lane number 4. They want to try and fix lane number 1, especially right now, as the Warden on the tiny sliver of HP gets taken down there. Nearly had the Abrams as well to secure, but they're going to force and be able to claim this Lash as well. Can they actually snipe him off the zip line? No, they can't. So settle for the 1 kill. But lane number 1 is certainly in firm hands of RedX after that.
Yeah, absolutely, but it all comes down to these buffs now. Less than a minute to go. We've got Mo and Krill sort of in the zone. There's a Haze in the area. We could see a big team fight unfold around these buffs. Blue team, all the ultimates to play with here, so they'll be happy to look to force a team fight here. They've got a little bit of a souls advantage, and a relevant one at that, but we'll have to see what they end up doing on the buffs. A kill now within the next 10 seconds could be disastrous for whoever loses a player.
Look at our left buff right there. It's just the Warden fighting it out versus the Haze and the Ivy. So hard contestant actually comes out the better here in lane number 4, though. That's where all the action's taking place. Mo and Krill going to pay the price eventually after that. But I think it's still a good trade. 5 seconds later, it seems like everyone's vacated there. Mirage, the one closest to that buff on the left-hand side. Vindicta in a good position to stop by if they really want. But both teams actually decide to just wait it out. Kelvin making their quick trades across there. The power of that ice path, and Mirage on the other side. Both of them pick up a decent movement ability, and movement, though, going to help out when Mirage is this close to the urn. Just chases their opponent away, picks it up. Now a quick drop-off ensues. Let's see if anyone can cut them off.
Yeah, I wonder how much emphasis they're going to put on trying to contest this on the side of RedX. You'd feel like at this stage, they're happy to fight on the side of Sanctuary 789. They're happy to force something. Their team fight is better, in my opinion, and you'd like a little bit more time to get a couple more items up if you are Mirage and the rest of this team. But RedX, they drop it down, and not able to secure their kill, has to back out instead. But a big team fight unfolding.
Oh, here comes the 7 ultimate over the top, is being focused down then, going to be confirmed by Chi. That's the big thing, the assassinate able to take out that stationary target. The other stationary target forced out by the Mo and Krill ultimate. The combo was there, and here's the team fight that you wanted for 789. They force the issue, then they claim the urn, and they say thank you very much. Now we don't even have to go get it ourselves, even handing it off to get off that extra skill point, the ability point onto the Warden. What a great understanding again as a team of the impact of each of these plays.
Yeah, they actually put big emphasis on getting this Warden big. It's not just Darty, it's clearly a team mandate. We put a lot of our net worth on the Warden, and we'll know we'll make good use of it later. So that's kind of a cool thing to see. That kind of highlights to us why the Warden gets so far ahead. It's because the team is like, that's your job, get far ahead. He's not a traditional POS 1, at least not from our understanding, but that's how he operates in the 789 lineup. You need to back up now, just be a little bit careful here, RedX. Have a reputation for overextending. They got the kill on the 7, but the Mirage is so low, I don't know where he is. He gets tracked down by the Kelvin and taken out.
And now this is the big thing. The Moan Krill also joining into that fight means it's a dangerous position. Vindicta also in a bad position right there. Has to try and escape for their life as Vindicta has got their sign going, using the puddle punch to get up onto the high ground. That's called efficiency of ability usage. And Dartian, though, gets sniped out into this fight. It's just absolute chaos on these rooftops here on the left-hand side as suddenly the people have shown up for RedX. They're going to be fighting as they retreat, and Abrams tries to make a venture forward, but again, maybe a little bit more respectful. No respect shown whatsoever. Goes straight through, and Nikan using that lovely sandstorm to be able to pick up the kill after that. So a great period of play for RedX in reply.
They're still 5k behind somehow. So that lane push happening in lane number 4, the Moan Krill and the Kelvin pushing out that walker in that lane, it was sucking up so much farm because they didn't end up, they weren't that much ahead at the beginning, but they were still 5k after losing like 3 or 4 players. Very, very interesting here. And it seems like no matter what they do, RedX are not able to sort of extract an advantage out of the game here. And now Abrams in trouble. No, Lash, he doesn't have the backup he needs. But as I say that, they get the rotation from the Viscous.
Viscous is just able to buy so much time. Good sleep dart, but there's too many people making for his forwards. Abrams has already fallen. There goes the Divine Barrier combined with the ultimate, but it's not enough to keep Infamous Ruiner alive. And this Sanctuary, all the fight forwards that they need, they can scraps across the map, but using their mobility to their advantage. Unfortunately, on the other side, Vindicta is not someone who you expected. Look at the immediate decision making. Dive straight down there. And like you say, this is something straight out of the playbook. Sanctuary 789, they get the kills, they turn it into the mid boss. And I don't know, the test is looming. There are a couple of people. You've got the Ivy, you've got the Abrams. These are the best contention heroes. There goes Abrams to the center, but he doesn't get it. It just ends up paying with their life.
From downtown like a steam train, the Abrams comes flying in. I'm guessing the Ivy got distracted somewhere or got forced back, because Ivy is the perfect hero to secure Rejuvenator with that stone form. It's really ideal. You get the stun off, you come out of the stone form, you get the punch off, and you grab that. But unfortunately, not able to get in there. And it's just this is so reminiscent of Game 1 Altruism against On The Way, where it just seemed like all of a sudden 789 got all these advantages at once, and it almost felt like they fell into the mid boss there, in the sense that they happened to get kills around that area, and all of a sudden the mid boss was theirs for the taking, and they do that so effectively.
Oh, Moan Krill is going to go down, but they claim the walker, and the fight carries on. Shoes here, bit of a backtrack for 789. They're going to be able to again claim the Haze, and fortunately for Nico, going to jump straight into that Kutsu bomb slows down any attack. But it really is, I said it earlier, the 10 to 13 minute mark for 789 seems to be their key gameplay parts. And I mean, okay, okay, just gonna leave that. Of course, again, the emphasis on this Warden right now. It's normally 10 to 13 minutes. RedX has just successfully managed to slow it down by 2 minutes.
Yeah, best performance so far. It is definitely worth pointing that out, but I think that is a little comfort to RedX here, who feel like the game is now slipping away from them. It's so similar to game number 1. It's pretty even all the time. It's still at a point where a team fight either way would advantage either team significantly or bring RedX back into the game. But with the Rejuvenator buff, I'm sure we're going to see them. Well, they're first going to secure the urn here, obviously. What do you think? They don't know the timings on their advantages. This time, Moan Krill says, I'll take it myself. Warden sitting there like, hello? I thought we were friends. But guess not. Moan Krill decides he needs an injection of funds. Yeah, they've been doing such a good job of securing these objectives, and RedX, they're going to have to spend the next few minutes here while the Rejuvenator buff is on. Just playing safe, but not playing safe enough here as Chi put under pressure.
Oh, just the charge forward comes out from Sanctuary 789. They're able to jump in. Lash goes in over the top looking for the death drop. Does get taken out for their effort, but it certainly made the space for the rest of the team coming forward. Sure, not going to be too stressed when you've got the Rejuvenator back. Immediately almost back into the action, and the rest of 789, they're content to keep pushing. RedX trying to backtrack at any stage. Unfortunately, you got a mole man under your feet. Comes up there, knocks everyone, gets the combo in afterwards, and double kill after that, leading towards the base bosses. Walker's pretty much down across the board. Yeah, every single one of them falling on the side of RedX, and I mean, immediately into a shrine. This team wastes no time here on 789.
I question why you look for a fight there if you're 789. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose all your walkers, don't get me wrong, but Lady Geist is across the map trying to take the enemy walker. That's not a trade worth taking. 5 heroes dead and you lose the walker anyway. You'd rather take a 6v6 or a 6v5 if you can force it. But they don't, and now 789 doing what they do best, getting what they want out of the particular situation and then backing out. They're so much better at this than RedX are, and as I say, that obviously GL Dartian does go down, and now we'll have to see, do RedX overextend too far here?
This is the big thing. How much do you chase right now? You got tanky and mobile characters, at least isolated off the viscous cube. Got to punch it back towards their side. Oh, it's a very annoying little Kelvin bubble to try and delay this out. It's not really going to change the outcome, but it wastes the time. Absolutely fantastic there. So again, the objective, the overall metagame being won, and I mean Lash still already making sure these lanes are pushed in, but RedX they've got a brief window of opportunity to try and make something back into this game.
Yeah, but it's brief, Altruism. They need to recognize that it's brief, and it's not as long as it takes for them to get kills, because we've seen this so many times already. And here we go again, putting under pressure. Mirage drops out, the Storm Cloud finds him, and immediately they're forced back once again. Just an unnecessary hero to lose.
Yeah, I mean, the Rejuvenator buff was still there. Everyone from 789, you talked about it being brief. It wasn't even a minute, and already 789 back into it. Mo and Krill on top of one. Also going to be actually 2 more kills to follow that immediately after. It's not just the small thrill, making a 4th, actually. Basically, the entire team down for the count, and 789, they have an intention, and they execute it as a squad. If you're not matching with the same energy, you're losing.
Yeah, they are of one mind, this 789 squad, right? Whatever they're doing, they're all on the same page. They back together, they go in together. Kelvin's like, I'm going to die in front of the patron, and we're going to do that together. Or they're going to just cap it straight up here, Ultras, and this game is done.
Yeah, I think he was maybe hoping that he had a bit more in the tank to just delay it out. And look at the Warden, just sneaky, hanging in the back. You're not going to look at me. You can charge everything that you want at us. We have got the damage. Lose 4, actually, of their members in the
400 souls too poor, but he still gets the objective damage numbers here. Actually, Niken on the other side, he's the one who gets the player damage. And in what felt like a more one-sided game, it was a sub 20-minute game, Ultras. It did not feel that one-sided, but this team is so sharp, 789, with their timings. Any advantage, they'll come in and they'll force them to do something different. Just force them out of their comfort zone. And ban the pocket. Guys, what's with the pocket ban? Clearly, look, these guys know more about the game than I do. The Paradox ban I find so funny because 789 is so good with the Paradox in the one game they played it. But they're like, no, it's a strong hero. Okay, RedX are like, no, we know what works. You ban the pocket, you pick the Mirage first up. It hasn't worked so far, but again, I keep saying this. These teams know what they're about, and maybe they think, okay, it didn't work. Oh God, what? They picked the Warden? That's crazy. You clearly, RedX is like, no, we have a plan. We know what works. We think this is going to work.
I mean, considering these teams have been playing for the last 5 weeks, there's got to be something in that pocket ban. They just realized that the 789 team is a little bit too good with it, but the rest of the draft coming out pretty obviously really nice. I'm actually liking this a lot more from RedX right now. The Vindicta, obviously, on the other side, a pretty stable damage dealer. I wouldn't be surprised to see that in the hands of Kaio, who we've seen really being able to hit some good shots. Actually used it earlier today. And then you go with the Lash and the Kelvin. These are the sort of characters that I'm looking for from RedX to secure lanes, to secure rotations, to secure team fights. Agreed,
100%. I like this. If you were like, these are our standard 3 opening picks for every draft we do, I'd be like, sick. I get it. I think this makes a lot of sense. These 3 heroes offer you, they cover all your bases at this point, right? All you need now is a tanky-ish hero, and you'll feel like on paper a Deadlock draft is complete. You've just got 2 extra slots to pump some damage into. On the other side, they go for the Lady Geist this time. I wonder who will be filling in that role, because they were running the Viscous before, they were running the Mo and Krill or the Abrams, something tanky as well. That's kind of what worked with the composition. I'm trying to think what this removes from them. Oh, it was Kyo was playing the 7, but that's the Vindicta now. So as much as we talk about there being a template for 789, it's not a very straightforward template. It's not like you just go, they pick this hero or a hero like it every time. They pick this hero or a hero like it every time. They've got some depth to what they do. The Paradox isn't the same as the 7, isn't the same as the Vindicta. Keo's been showing some depth on that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised to see Keo picking up something like the Lady Geist, if that's something that they feel comfortable with. Keo seems to be a playmaker of a character, you know, get those rotations around, etc. Lady Geist does perform that I feel like almost like the off-lane role in Dota is not the prime priority, but really wants to be a core to be able to go in there. You asked for the tanking front lines. The Abrams going to come out, followed up by the Wraith. This is really now starting to look like a good meta draft out there. Viscous, an unsurprising pickup from 789 on the other side, and going to follow it up again. They're really enjoying the Mo and Krill here tonight, and have been able to follow up those combos really well. So now we ask, what's the last one? What's missing, son?
Last time it was Lash, we were like, this is obviously the pick. I think you probably go for another damage dealer here if you are RedX. Not that they need it necessarily. I think you can afford for something with more tempo. I'm looking at the other side and I'm thinking, what stops you from picking up the Dynamo here? Maybe you're a little bit limited on damage, but they clearly like to operate with a lot of team fight power. Right, a lot of opportunities for big wombo combos, if not wombo combos, at least obvious combos. I mean, we spoke about the paradoxical swap into Mo and Krill combo, but they go for the McGinnis. So what kind of McGinnis will this be? What kind of Kelvin will this be? I think that's going to decide a lot about how these lanes play out. Could you go for like a solo McGinnis or turret-based Spirit McGinnis? We'll have to wait and see. And then the Ivy likely to be the support here for 789.
Okay, I like it. Right now, we see RedX giving themselves 789. They have not got the better of RedX throughout the season. But everyone else pretty much fell to the wayside, and Sanctuary seem to have refined their gameplay down to an art form. Big question right now, is this going to be another sub 20-minute game? 3 of their 4 matches tonight have been. Or can RedX actually turn this not just into a hold on and a delay, but into a victory for themselves? We are here, game number 3, the grand finals of the playoffs of Grit and Glory Season 1, brought to you by Tenor.com.
That was a very interesting start, Altruism. They went with the Mirage into lane 1 to force that out. In fact, there's now an Ivy messing around in that lane, forcing a 2v1 against the Warden. So that was an interesting little play they made to kind of force the lane out for the first wave to help their Lash get a little bit of a better start. Now they've pulled the Ivy in. That's giving Warden not the best start. And this is going to be the Kelvin who takes down Eric Pritz on the Mo and Krill. So a good start for RedX here.
Yeah, actually great for them. They couldn't have asked for a better chance there. They get a little bit of pressure onto the Warden in lane number 2, like you talk about. They back up. Their Lash takes a bit of a hammering, unfortunately, on that lane, but certainly nothing that you can't redefine in the first minute there. Vindicta is going to have a very tough lane from the amount of spam coming out from between the Kelvin and the Wraith. I mean, that's a burst right there.
I think you'll find, Altruism, that the Vindicta is going to rotate to the other lane, and that's how she tends to play the game.
Yeah, obviously, right?
Yeah,
and
obviously,
picks up the kill straight away.
As well. So I think that's what you meant to say, right?
That's where I was building towards. You just ruined my thunder. Nice deny. No, that looks like a misplay, but it's actually such a heads-up play. When your opponent's not in the lane, they don't get the souls for it, and now you get a bit of a reset. You're going to respawn so quickly. You get back to lane. The tactical suicide to the walker. I like it.
That's an old Dota 2 thing, right? Where you feed yourself to neutrals, and then you don't feed away, you lose your unreliable gold, and it's cheaper than buying a TP to get back out, etc, and it's faster. Anyways, laning phase, very, very even so far. This Warden is a tiny bit behind his counters in the other, or his targets in the other lane, but it's been very dynamic. We've seen Mirage spend a lot of time in lane number 1, Ivy as well, just rotating back. So these teams are very, very happy to have the lanes not be quite so static like we're used to seeing. Mirage though getting hello from downtown. Lash coming in from stage left to secure the kill in lane number 1.
Again, it's just these rotations coming out. I mean, certainly Sanctuary were the ones looming with those between the Vindicta on the right and the Ivy on the left. And RedX goes, you know what, that's a great idea. Our Mirage is pretty powerful. I'm going to come in there and from the top rope, Lash to finish off the kill. Gives them a great security in this lane, which could have been a dire situation. And now manages to go 2.4k up on the 1.3k Lady Geist. So certainly a great way to get your Lash involved in the early start towards this. And a bit of a parry comes out there.
Oh, hello.
In a bad position, gets the parry around the other way. And Gutsu Vines now to give McGinnis something to think about.
Mirage is super farmed at the moment, Altruism. He's basically taking farm from both lanes, right? He goes to Lash's lane, he pushes the lane out, he gets all the souls from that, and he rotates back to McGinnis's lane, who pushes the lane out. And McGinnis could even use the walls to block the creeps off so that they don't lose anything to the tower until the Mirage is back. So this Mirage is getting some real steroids here to start off with in terms of his net worth.
Oh, and the kill on top of that as well. Suddenly this Warden and the big linchpin that 789 has relied on so much, having a devastating start to the game. Only 2.3 souls and not getting very much.
Hello.
Snipe attempt comes out. They're going to have a second shot at it. Got one more in the chamber. No, just out of charges. No extra confirmation, but only the smallest bit of HP comes out to escape from that. So a really nice way to counter out the pressure just a little bit.
Yeah, they've kind of done this very effectively here. Kyo, she on the Vindicta got the ultimate, used it very effectively, almost got that kill. Ivy is ultra farmed as well, also using that same tactic of moving back and forth between lanes 1 and 2. Strange that it would be the Ivy, but I guess Warden's game is just like, just let me do my thing, please. Don't unsettle me by making me do weird stuff like moving lane to lane. Let me farm up my lane. When the mid game comes around, I'll get farm, and then I can start assassinating people with my movement speed and my spirit damage. So I have to wait and see here, but now comes the aggressive play in lane number 2.
Yeah, both teams have rotated 3 characters in here. The Mirage coming in from the side and pincering in the side of 789. Dartian going to be the casualty from that, which could not spark more joy here for RedX, I'm sure. They're going to be ecstatic about that. But yeah, a tough laning phase and one of the most dynamic ones that we've seen. Who says mid-game starts at 10 minutes?
Well, not 789, that's for sure. This is how they've been playing all day long. So it feels like since the second game, they really hit their stride in terms of rotating early, and Kyo especially. That's been his game plan, right? We saw it on the Paradox. We saw it even on the Vindicta in the first game where he played Vindicta, which was the second game we've seen overall. He just kind of dominated, moved around, playing tank, you know, flanking around the side, dueling the Kelvin, I think it was, just really getting all over the map. And it's been so interesting to see how 789 approach this, and now we see some more rotations coming through. Warden just going to spend some time farming up the jungle, try and get back to the game. He hasn't had the best start, but it's not the first time that he'll be coming out of the laning phase, just a touch behind. But in the mid game, he's very, very adept at catching back up with farm.
The farm, we talked about Avi being the top net worth. I just got to see the items, full vitality build there, so none of the cheeky shenanigans of a gun Ivy build there. That looks like it's going to be a support, and rare to see that as your highest net worth on your side, and instead it's going to be the cause doing a lot of rotations. Oh, you've been baited in. I actually have a friend right here right now, and unfortunately your friend now going to have to stay.
Hello.
Okay, that's a cheeky way to send a corpse past your friend.
Yeah.
Viscous Cube slowed it down for a bit. We're not even close to the buffs. What are you all doing here?
They're fighting and winning the team fight, Ultras, and this is how this team likes to play.
Yeah.
But RedX are matching them stride for stride at their own game now, forcing this Vindicta back. Kyo under pressure, but he's going to stay alive for the time being. But they're playing so aggressive, and he can all go down, but Osketh takes the trade there on the Lash. This time he's been on the Lash. He's been playing the Abrams and the Shiv before, so I wonder if he'll have a little bit of a better time. Maybe that's why he feeds so hard in some of these games, because he's so used to being on the Lash, where he can just be in and out like a thief in the night, but Wraith under pressure here.
under pressure indeed. You've used all your trickery, and there's a Moe and Krill on your tail, but the Moe and Krill, you've gone a little bit too far. Big Scorn comes out there to heal it up. Actually going to stand up against 3 and come out the victor. Jaxo goes down immediately at the beginning of this fight, and now they can try and claim some more. Abrams is sitting there, but get with that extra 25% bullet and spirit resistance as of the latest patch. Going to be able to get out of there quite comfortably. Now your Vindicta's being spotted. Great way to slide out there and gets around the corner. Just juking, jiving, and buying the time for the team to get in there. Decent stake attempt as well. To try to hold one down, and now you've got your support in here. You've got your Moe and Krill. There's a wall to separate this off, and then the ultimate throwing in the barrage. A long bit of damage all the way from downtown and on the bridge. To put this onto both players and tower alive. Decent, a really nice little parry by the Mirage to try to stay alive. And he teleport. No, he just jumps up into the sky. Somehow still managing to stay alive for now, but eventually is going to go down. So kills for both sides here. Nice grab there. Great card coming through there to confirm the kill. And suddenly, I mean, in the space of my 40 seconds of talking, RedX have picked up 4-5 kills.
Well, RedX were pushing quite aggressively to pick up kills. They've really been looking to set the tempo and control the pace of the game, and the composition is so much better at allowing them to do that now when compared to the previous games. Once again, they find another kill. The Wraith this time getting in on the action. Kyo, those snipes one over the time. Having a hard time in spite of the good start he had there. Oh, the parry up there, not cancelling that out, and Abrams will get forced out and taken down. So once again, a little bit of an overextension here. What is happening here? Oh, I think it's the Lash out. No, just kind of looking for a target, I guess, or maybe a spectator bug. But Kyo not having the ulti charges yet. 5 seconds. If she can get it up, doesn't mean it's just going to gun the Kelvin down.
Oh, well, RedX, they showed the intention of we're going to group up and charge together, but Sanction goes, hey, that's our playbook. You don't get to steal that. We're going to group up. We're going to take everything we need, and at the exact right time as well. Bridge buff's going to be spawning in just a second. McGinnis the only one really close enough to take that on the left. Someone on the right-hand side. I see a Warden starting to make their way towards that as it comes down in 3 seconds. So a bit of a trade between the two. Earn, again, pops up on the left-hand side. There is a Moe and Krill just within range of that if they want. Is McGinnis, you'll support McGinnis again. Actually, no, this is not a support McGinnis.
Yeah, this is a turret McGinnis.
Going full damage.
I think this is a turret McGinnis, right? So there were buffs to the turrets. It's kind of a lot harder to play into. Can they secure the kill onto this Moe and Krill? It's a tough kill to get, but they've got a lot of damage coming out here. The combo to try and keep the Moe and Krill alive, but it's not going to be enough. Just ends up going down. Can they find anything on this side of the map here? Lane 3, Amber Hand having to play a little bit safe here. But once again, RedX, they just need to be aware of the overextension, man. Altruism, how many times have we seen it at this point? It feels like they get all these kills, 5 kills, 6 kills, and they always feed at least 1 or 2 back in the other direction as Viscous looks to secure the kill onto the Lash.
Oh, he's got a lot of damage in there. Needs to be worried about the Abram and pins him to a wall, but immediately into the goo ball form. Wants to make the distance. Runs over the Abram. Doesn't even wait to try and confirm that. Still looking on the target for that Lash, but Lash securely out towards the zip line. Gonna stop and pick up some neutral camps on the way there to use the last bit of HP. Earn currently being carried around and around the central pillar. The Ivy, but I mean, right now you've got too many people to worry about to go and try get that in home. Needs them back up, and that's exactly what 789 wants. Yeah,
she's going for it now. She's kind of snuck through. Yeah, they made the space for her. She'll get the urn delivered, gets the heavy charge, will get that and pick up all the souls as well. So good work from 789. We know how strong they are playing around those objectives, and it's not even about winning a team fight about that, but they pulled attention away for long enough that the Ivy could just get the cap in.
Such a close game right now. Only 3k souls in it, slightly in the favor of Sanctuary. RedX, I wonder if this great wall comes out there, combined out with the telekinesis, going to be able to pull the mole man out of the ground, and that's not a place of safety anymore. Great counter towards that. Nice pickup comes out for RedX once more. And with something like a Wraith in a corner like this, this is exactly where you want to be cleaning up all of these creeps.
Yep, absolutely. She's got 3k souls now. I wonder if she goes for something like the Tesla bullet, or if she just waits and goes straight up to the Shadow Weave. I imagine it'll be the Shadow Weave. That's kind of been the style of the day, it seems like, at this level. That's how the Wraiths choose to play. But Sanctuary 789, they've had to withstand a lot of pressure here, Altruism, in a way that no team has really put on them thus far. The Warden, only 10k, top 3 in his team, but still a decent chunk behind the Vindicta. But the Vindicta has been critical, and once again, it is Keo being the playmaker for his team. He picked up 3 or 4 kills in the flurry there, 2 of which I think were assassinate kills as well. That's kind of kept him ahead of the game, and that's how he likes to play. And if it's not the Warden who's dominating, it's Keo, and it's really hard to shut them both down.
Yeah, and I think that's been a big part of what 789 has kind of emphasized. Is Warden is your late game carry. They might not have the best early game. Wall's going to be a little bit off the mark there, but Keo having that early playmaking ability and now starting to just use that to go from strength to strength, going to be a nuisance in these fights. Still has to worry about the Lash counter as of one of the recent changes to the character. But I mean, a great start nonetheless. Certainly going to be someone that needs to be dealt with quite concertedly.
Rescue beam up here on the Kelvin. Knockdown also we saw for a moment up on the McGinnis. So Keo on the Vindicta will have to be a little bit careful here. Of course, Knockdown offering a ton of utility outside even of the Vindicta. But that's the main reason you pick it up against a composition like this. Kind of looking to force a fight. It looks like a lot of blue players converging here. Lash is not really in position to take a team fight. The rescue beam though will get Abrams out of dodge, but will it be enough?
Yeah, that should be plenty. Abrams is already a difficult character to chew through that HP, and the rescue beam was on the money, 100% effective right there. But they have still not given up this fight in general. Their Rowan Crow has to go towards the ground, trapped into the frozen shelter though. No way getting out of this one. And Eric, who's been the sacrificial lamb so often before, again going to take a bit of a knock to the network.
Yeah, you called it there. That's kind of his job, right? Look, stick your nose out, try and find a kill, but this time RedX have a much better composition to punish more than just that Mo and Krill. But again, the question is always, how far do you go? And it looks like they're making the right decision here. Don't overstay your welcome. Get back. As I say that though, looks like they might turn and look for something as they regroup with the rest of the players in lane 2.
It's so clever. We can't deal with 2 of them coming in to try and flank us, but if we start grouping up together, we bought the time, we've stayed alive for as long as needed, and now they can come in with aggression and they go forward. Once more going to be the Mo and Krill taking a dive in the dirt nap in the most literal sense. And again, RedX just showing composure, getting these bridge buffs up there. They're going for one right now onto the Lash. That's going to be a really nice casting one, going to get those abilities more often and more effectiveness of the abilities. On the other side, see the Kelvin picking up the urn and collecting the bridge buff along the way. Great period of play here for RedX.
I don't think they get the free cap on the urn though. If anything, they're going to force a team fight here. There's a lot of blue players in position, but not quite all of them. Viscous will rotate around now. Mo and Krill coming out of spawn, so we are setting out for a pretty big team fight.
Everyone on the inside, Vindicta shut off. They're going to have to spend some time getting around him. Decent abilities thrown in, puts RedX under some pressure, but they've come in with full force. Ivy decides to go down, come back in there. Still got the stone form available. Mo and Krill also in these tight spaces is such a good place, and Sanctuary they're taking full control of the team fight. 1 or 2 picked up there. In fact, being picked up on the other side. The Lash makes an attempt at a play, does at least confirm out the Mo and Krill, but that's not the key target. And now your Abrams sitting inside, gets stunned up and surrounded by players. Don't know if they want to try and give that away to the Vindicta. They don't. Gooball bouncing back and forth again. These tight corridors, exactly what they need. Solar Hound gonna go down to the Jin's mark at the end of it, but still a 2-for-4 trade.
They did manage to secure, make that a 2-for-3 trade now, or a 3-for-4 trade, thank you. They did manage to call earn as well, so actually a pretty even trade. And as I say that, they pick up another one. So this is kind of an inverse of what we've been seeing from them so far. Or they're going to find another one here. I don't think McGinnis is really in a position to punish us. No, she isn't. But it's kind of what we saw RedX falling afoul of in the previous games, where they'll get these good team fights and then over time they'll just drop players and players and players. And they're struggling a little bit now. Finally, Sanctuary 789 are getting a taste of their own medicine.
It's kind of bitter when you have to take it yourself, isn't it, right now? Their win conditions are starting to also be diminished. Your Vindicta, that is still far ahead of your own team, was previously so far ahead of the opponents as well, but I mean, your Mirage has started to close that gap quite nicely. Your Lash is starting to get a couple of the key items that they need to get those burst combos up. Your Wraith is starting to loom enough damage to threaten both your people and your objectives. So a lot of options here for RedX to take good team fights, to win out the map as a whole. Now it comes down to their decisions.
And execution. I think that's something we haven't spent enough time talking about in a lot of ways, is the team fight execution of 789 has been absolutely perfect a lot of the time. Yes, the decision making has been sharp and concise and clear, but their team fight execution has also been very, very good. And so in a case where things are 50-50 as they are now, you kind of have to look and ask yourself, who's likely to win the next team fight based purely on execution? And I get the sense that 789 are set up in terms of their comms and their team synergy to do that a little bit better. This Warden, though, he's having a very slow game at the moment. He's not very farmed, fourth most farmed on his team, I think. So not having quite the impact that we saw. We asked him to ban this hero. It's early days yet, Altruism, but maybe they were right all along.
Yeah, I mean, the only two options were ban it or counter it, and the counter it, the deal with it, seems to be working for them. Dartian is going 1, 4, and 6. Certainly the most number of deaths we've seen out of them tonight. On the other side, I saw the flash come up there. Keo currently sitting at 10 and 1. That is where all your investment's going. So a bit of a change up being forced out of how Sanctuary is going to be playing this. But I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you've got someone with some sort of network behind them, you're going to have a threat in the fight. And so maybe just now the Warden's role needs to be, instead of doing the damage and leading those numbers, just get the tankiness up. It needs a bit more vitality if they're going to be doing that, but certainly provide that distraction to give Kiro the space. Oh, here we go. That's the grab over the top. Lash wants to go in there, and a bit of a snipe, make that 11-1.
Yeah, and the best thing about that 23k net worth is she's not vacuuming up farm from all over the map, right? That is free extra farm. As I say that though, the main man, Dartian, I think he's listening in. He heard us say the Warden's not having that big of an impact, and he fires off a kill there, but they get the return kill onto Solar Hound. But what's happening in the meantime, Altruism?
Yeah, this is the game plan. We got the 2 kills we needed. We've got the damage that we want to be able to go in. There's a bit of a posturing around there, jumping around. There is going to go down the frozen.
He gets it!
And he snatches it! He actually grabs it, pays immediately with the life. But the turnaround, RedX never contents to give up an objective for free, it seems.
Hello, game 1 called. They want their stolen mid-boss back. Last time it was the Paradox. This time Kelvin comes in. It's a little bit unfair. You know, he pops the frozen throne. He can end it when he wants, so he can end it mid-punch. But this fight is still unfolding here. Krill taken down. Oh, I've seen that movie before, but it's looking much better for RedX now. They've got this mid-boss. They've got 2 kills. They're pushing out lanes as well. And let's secure the kill on this lady, Geist. It's going to be a tough kill to try and get. No, Ivy says, sorry, ma'am. We've got places to be. Get out, Mr. President. But there's a lot of players in between them and a safe exit here. But they will get out. But they have lost another friendly walker. So this is an absolutely excellent passage of play here. All set up by the main man on the Kelvin.
Yeah, I mean, individual plays like that, one of the best uses of the Ivy ult that we've seen so far. But that's just to kind of mitigate the losses right now.
Yeah.
RedX has just got full control of this. It looks like they're going to be running the urn. And yeah, pretty uncontested variation of that right now leads to, again, an exacerbated lead. Even though that lead now, only 3k souls on their side. And I mean, they got to worry right now. There's going to be the combo. Actually breaks out of it in time, but Dartian going to be there to finish off it. Wall just separates off a little bit. No catch coming out afterwards. That would have led to a dead McGinnis, but it's left these teammates behind. Everyone from Sanctuary, they're going forward aggressively. The snipes coming over the top, and Vindicta has a full shooting gallery, but not confirming the kills. That's the big problem. You've got to get someone right now before RedX turns it around. Managed to pick up 1 and turn it into 2, and right now RedX, they've gained, overextended. They had a bit of a lead, and it's evaporated in a matter of moments.
And that's the difference between these two teams, right? You feel like 789, if they're in that position, they lose maybe the Mo and Krill. Sorry, they definitely lose the Mo and Krill, and they lose nobody else, right? And that's kind of been the difference between the two teams. And you kind of look at RedX and you think, damn, Mo and Krill died, don't worry about that. That's just a part of how this game works. Although Visca's dying as well, all of a sudden it turns back in. They're using this Rejuvenator buff to good effect here to get back into the time quickly and to try and push out the lane, or push in the lanes rather.
That's one of the big parts about the mid bosses. It's worth fighting for. Teams understand that it's not just about the fight around it, it's about the next 2 or 3 minutes after that and what you can accomplish. RedX taking that and grabbing every advantage that they can. Now the lanes are in a better position, opens up their ability to farm, but they're not going back to the jungle right now. They've got everything that they need, they feel, with a little bit of time, and just respecting those respawns does allow some space. Lash going to go around and secure this left side. Actually, maybe looking for a pick as he creates that dangerous front line that gives space for everyone to farm backwards behind him.
Hope he recognizes his team is not on the same page though, because he's kind of doing his own thing at the moment. Warden is near him. Warden is not going to kill a Lash. At least he's not likely to do that. But yeah, they're pushing out the lanes. They're vacuuming up farm from around the map here. This is very solid play from RedX. But the game is still extremely even. We're still one team fight away from one team gaining a huge advantage here. Because 2k souls difference at this stage of the game, literally nothing, Altruism.
Yeah. It's completely negligible, and with those early team fights, they really have diminishing returns when you consider that the respawns are so short, and Rejuvenator buff means that everyone now, if you go down, you're going down for a long time. Certainly long enough to confirm all the walkers that are left. Only one still standing here from Sanctuary 789. 2 on the board, 3 in fact, even though they're low on HP, RedX still has them. So lots to be claimed, especially for the 789 side. And one of the big things we talk about is a walker, a tower in general for a game like this, as it is with Dota or League of Legends, is basically stored wealth that you can then go claim at a future point. So the 4k souls lead that RedX has, and is just the difference in objectives.
It's just the walkers that they haven't yet taken. Both teams kind of content to use the next couple of minutes just to farm up the map, right? We've got 1 minute, 45 seconds until the next objectives comes up, your bridge buffs, your urn. So that's probably going to be where the fights are at the moment. That zone is being controlled pretty effectively by the Amber Hand RedX, but they're kind of splitting up here a little bit. There's a big chunk of 4 players on lane number 2 here looking for something on the side of 789. And it's a pretty good time to take a fight if they can catch one, but no, they're just going to kind of spread out and get set up for that bridge buff, I think.
RedX is going to dedicate 2 players to stopping the push coming in, but I think that was the preemptive nature of what 789 did. They went forwards, they managed to get the pressure on their opponents, and instead now they're going to be able to rotate back. Vindicta are going to be able to pick up one of the best versions of the buffs for themselves. A great gun buff for them. Also going to have a little bit of control of that urn. Ivy's in position, could pick this up, fly it back towards the center. We've seen it done before. There's an Abrams in the neighborhood. They do want to get it, but no, Maxicor takes control of that. And a quick maneuver towards the center. Isn't even going to pop the ultimate for this. The reduced distance certainly helps out from that.
Yeah.
Jumps up towards it, surrounded by teammates. This is the passage of pace 789 needed, but there's enough of their opponents lingering around the outside that the team fight sure to kick off shortly. And they've lost Kelvin immediately. RedX in a dire position. They caught out. And Sanctuary, now they want to go in for everything. They're going to take out the Abrams as well on top of this. A desperate attempt at the parry, but I mean, there's enough other variations of damage.
God.
Third person falls immediately. RedX, that was not the fight to be taken, and now all the objectives. And now you're going to go in with the last member? I mean, the Lash grab is nice, but there's no follow-up afterwards. Vindicta as well. I mean, this is not a position you typically see a sniper in. Last stand comes out from the Warden, actually goes down quickly after that. Attempts at the shot coming in there, but you can see the confidence shown right now on Keo on this Vindicta, ready to get up close and personal to push this through. And I mean, it was a 2-for-4 trade, I think, by the end of that. So 789 content.
I mean, those two players that go down are so important. Obviously, Moan Krill dies, that's what he does. But the Warden not being up means you don't really feel like you want to force more than you already have taken. That was such a huge passage of play for 789. They secured the urn free, pretty much, and they then converted that into a team fight victory. Yes, they lost 2 players towards the end of it, but that was them taking a team fight. That wasn't them overextending so much as just forcing down an objective, and they'll be happy with that sequence of plays. One thing I saw that I thought was very interesting was their approach to giving the gun buff to the Vindicta and not to the Warden. Obviously, that's because the Vindicta has like 20 trillion souls more than the Warden could even dream of at this point in time. But it still shows a good response to the actual game state, rather than being just like, we put the good stuff on the Warden, but mid-boss, we're going to have a pretty big skirmish happening.
Oh, and an early contest comes out from Sanctuary. They're not just here to steal the Rejuvenator. They want to win this before it even hits the ground. They don't have the Warden embroiled in the fight. Really nice slam comes out from the Ivy Stone form. Going to put some pressure, but now needs to worry. He's got Diviner's Barrier, so lots of extra health on top of this. And Viscous still with lots of abilities in the bank. Doesn't need it right now as 789 cleans this up. And now, not just are they going to have to steal this, they're going to be able to take down the weakened mid-boss for themselves. We have seen RedX contest this before, but no one is coming to touch us right now, and that may be the final straw that 789 needed to really stamp their authority on this game.
That was a total disaster. We had an even game until that point. It might be over now. That was kind of a payback for Kelvin waddling in and stealing the Rejuvenator from them before, but that's a big team fight win at 28 minutes, and they get a kill onto this guy. No, Lash somehow going to get out, but they're taking objectives all around the map. They can force in here. Lash dropping low, not dead, is now a GL guard. Dartian secures that kill. Oh, McGinnis as well. You cannot face up against this Vindicta. She's too strong, she's too far ahead, and she's cleaning up the entire RedX squad.
I mean, we've said Dartian is so impactful in these fights, and when these two link up together, that is the true strength here of 789, able to take these positions. And Vindicta, I mean, even when you go into a dangerous position, a nice ethereal shift to be able to buy yourself the time for the teammates to come back in here. In fact, the highest net worth on the other side going to be falling as well. 50 seconds down here for the Mirage. Even with that minus 20 seconds of the Patron going down, this is still all Sanctuary. Everyone's still got that Rejuvenator buff up. They're all still very healthy. They're pretty content to stick around, and it's going to be up to RedX. They've got everyone but the Mirage here ready for this fight, and Sanctuary showing no signs of backing off.
Yeah, they think they've got this one in the bag, clearly. They're going to hop on in now. It drops so quickly. Lash is the only thing that's going to stop them. The Lash ulti comes through, sends them into spawn. They take down two significant kills, but the Patron is dropping so low. This is it, Ultras potentially, but no! A perfect counterplay coming in. The overextend that we didn't think was going to happen came to fruition. 789, they've been so sharp, they've been so clinical, but at the final hurdle, they stumble.
Man, a stumble is just for a second. I mean, they still have got themselves a phenomenal lead. They're still going to have that Rejuvenator buff, so it's not a long-term deficit. I don't know how much RedX is going to be able to get on top of this as well, but they survived. They got themselves their weakened Patron down to a quarter HP. A couple of buffs picked up on the retreat here for Sanctuary, so again, going to be re-engaging soon enough, I'm sure. But it is at least a defense, if nothing else.
Yeah, it absolutely is, but they're not done yet. They really want to close this game out. Yeah. This feels like hubris to me a little bit. Like, you've got this huge lead, you don't need to win the game right now, but maybe they know better than I do. Well, that's not so much a maybe, that's a for sure. The Patron was so low, they knew they just had to get bodies inside the pit. They did just that. They stumbled the first time Ultra.
Here, once more, a second game in a row, picks up an indomitable total souls lead there, combining that into 15 kills there with only the single death. And I mean, when you look at that single death in terms of the context, we've said that this the Sanctuary 789 squad has been really good at mitigating most of the deaths on their side. Much higher kill count for them. go through the items early into the game, as we see Sanctuary 789 coming out with some of their key things, stuff like the Melee Lifesteal onto the Abrams. And the big one that was interesting to me was seeing the Viscous going for pure gun damage kind of bulls at the beginning of this. Obviously understands that role and the ability to challenge their opponents and exacerbate this early good start, makes his lives even more difficult. He's pretty much got the sustain and the dodge that they need, doesn't need to invest in vitality, but going to be coming through there. And this I think is going to be the big problem here for Mo and Krill, the ability to get that life drain. Lady Geist wants you to get in close, and then all that health that you've just taken, now I'll take it for myself, thanks.
Yeah, you can't really just jump in. That's kind of how Mo and Krill wants to play, as we see this lane that we were so worried about, it's going the wrong way as far as 789 are concerned. Good work from these two players. The Mirage has now rotated back into this lane, just trying to equalize things by going to that Shiv lane for just a little bit there, hopefully bring him back into the game. And so far it's been quite helpful, but it's still a 500 soul lead here as we see lane number 3. But it's hard for Mo and Krill to play up into this, because as you say, you can't just run in, steal life and then duel, because Lady Geist is like, this is exactly what I want to do as well. And I think if she gets any kind of lead here, it's going to be tough for Mo and Krill. But so far he's doing a really good job of last hitting as effectively as he can. Yeah.
And I mean, considering that one of Mo and Krill's most powerful level 1 spells is the sand to blind your opponent. Lady Geist, oh, what a shot! Kinetic Carbine, the flank comes out there, tries for the charge in there, and Paradox setting up a good opportunity to even things out and help out the Mo and Krill just a little bit. Doesn't come to any sort of fruition, but certainly gives Lady Geist something to think about and may give them the chance. On the other side, though, Mirage and Wraith, they are having the greatest time that they could in the beginning. These are two characters that have the ability to really cause havoc wherever they decide to make a show. They even get a kill on top of it as Maxicor on that Dynamo gonna get sent back to spawn.
Second time he's died now, but it's been a very dynamic laning phase for both teams. We've seen a lot of rotations to the solo lanes. Of course, the Mirage moving over there to try and get that paradoxical swap comes out very quick to get that up. First player, well, not first player to get the ultimates, but one of the first, but he is going to put pressure. Is the Lash going to get out? Yes, he is. Slides around the corner. Fancy footwork here from the Lash.
Oh, really nicely played to be able to bait out that ultimate and still get out unscathed. Having a Kelvin next door, you've also got that ability. Now the second ultimate comes out. Telekinesis set up there by Infamous Runner and going to be able to pick up one, make it two. Ooh. Right then. Dominates the lane as they make a brief appearance across to the Melee Brethren.
And this is the difference between RedX versus what we saw from On The Way, right? That lane got absolutely... Oh, Mo and Krill's in trouble here. Big trouble. Is he going to go down? Such low HP. He needs one shot, but Paradox is back. Paradox is putting on the pressure. The Scorn will give him plenty of HP to work with. Now, Soul Exchange still on cooldown. Not even skilled yet. Still only 2.7k in the bank for the Lady Geist. And all of a sudden, what looked like a pretty even lane. Very one-sided, but here comes the Singularity.
Singularity, and then you got your Warden on the side, busy in the middle of Last Stand. That's a great way to try and threaten your opponents, and they managed to pick off this Mirage. A really good start for them as Lady Geist back into lane with a bit of a vengeance, but nice to see the ultimates coming out there early. People understand that cooldowns deserve to be used, and using it on a great position and aggressive posture as well, be able to pick up that kill. Certainly, even though the other one I think was the Wraith got out, it was not on a, it was more of a limp out of there than anything.
Yeah, but it's so important because that lane felt like it was getting out of hand from the Mirage and Wraith's perspective, right? So securing those couple of kills there, it's pretty much, well, it's pretty even here. Yes, the Wraith still has a pretty healthy advantage over the rest of them, but you're not letting this lane get as out of hand as it looked like it might. But from RedX's perspective, again, you're kind of fine even going even in that lane, given how it seems like 789 have been operating, which is off the back of a Warden who's a good 1, 2, 3k souls ahead of the rest of the team. But oh my god, the movement, too good. Paradox comes in with the Kinetic Carbine and fixes his lane right up for a team.
What an intentional play coming out there, but they get themselves costing for it as a nice support of Dynamo just there backing up and getting everyone else. In fact, 789, they want to stick around. They want to fight this. Chi pays for that, try to get something out of the end of that fight, but it was just too much. But like you say, the movement. Oh, the Paradox was hiding around in that mid tower for the longest period of time. Very intentional about the rotations and use that swap to full efficacy, and now actually trying to set up one more. Kinetic Carbine charged up, easiest shot onto the Shiv, misses the punch actually, and I think it baited it out, but still gets the job done, and that's more kills going the way of 789. This is the movement in the mid game that we wanted to see from them.
Yeah, it's like banned here, right? Altruism. It all makes sense now why it was banned every time they play it. All ultimate from Eric comes out, not enough to help him get out the frozen shelter, freezing him in there and allowing him to secure the kill onto the Abrams. Game is all even. Stevens ultimate altruism 31k to 32k now with that garden falling. It's a little bit, it's still 1k, but now the other way. But this Paradox has been so exceptional at moving around the map and securing kills with that kinetic carbine. You can see now why it's been given such high priority in terms of bans by on the way especially.
Yeah, after 5 weeks, you know the personal flavor of your opponents, and I mean that there was a lot of respect in that previously, as Kelvin now overstays their welcome, and Kaio going to be able to pick that up. And Kaio was, of course, that Vindicta that we saw in the last game. More action continues as Mo and Krill makes for the ground. Actually, it takes a bit of a dive into the sand, still posturing around like they want to come out, but respects their opponents going in there. But I mean, you talk about the Paradox and the number of rotations that are coming out, still sitting at the highest number of souls on the map, just putting it out there.
Yeah, because every time she goes somewhere, they get a kill, right? I don't think we've seen, maybe the very first rotation into that lane number 4, she's been quite secure kill. Every time since then, it's been at least 1 kill. So it's really been perfect execution, often converting it into a tower as well, a guardian. So they've been playing off the back of this Paradox so effectively, and as you say, highest net worth, and that's helped the Warden get back into the game as well. He's highest net worth alongside as well.
Slowing Hex shuts down the Mirage from getting out there, but still had that card, the teleport, to be able to get up and over the bridge. And great attempt from Sanctuary 789 to shut down one of the most elusive characters in the game, but has not come to any sort of fruition. At least gives them some space to keep charging forward, but they would have loved to pick that down and shut away one of the biggest potential carries on their opponent's side. Instead, the action, frenetic as always, continues now in the final lane. But I mean, actually, action everywhere. There's just no stop towards us. Paradox continues this fight, and Dartian on the Warden also going to be involved in that, going to pad their stats with a couple of extra souls.
He almost missed that kill completely. He looks like he didn't know where the Lash was, and he didn't see him when he came around the corner, so he sprinted straight past the Lash. Thankfully turned in time to secure that kill. But we can see now RedX kind of just forcing out some towers here. Force the cube out onto the Mo and Krill. Cube ball comes out as well. Look to get aggressive here. Tornado will keep the Mirage safe, and they're going to kill the Goo Man. No, not quite able to. So a lot of HP traded out there. But eventually, once the dust settles here, it's going to be all even Stevens up in that lane.
Buffs coming up right now, and the chain certainly makes it harder to catch. Mexico going to pay with their life, and one of the first teams to actually contest this 789 are going for that. And they passed it around and they lost their big Dynamo, and not a great way to secure that. So into the hands, at least one of the buffs goes here for RedX. Not sure who picked up the other one, but a great start for it. And Sanctuary 789, considering that last game, certainly been restricted in terms of their control of the field.
Yeah, you can see the difference. I mean, it was actually Paradox who picked up the gun buff in the other lane, just FYI. So a hero that can make great use of that, move around the map, use that extra movement speed from the kinetic carbine to try and set up some kills, as we've seen them do so effectively. Here we go, gets the swap off. The backup is there from the Viscous. Will they get this kill? No, as you say, Wraith too elusive, so that's an ultimate burn. But every time Wraith shows in the lane, she's getting put under pressure, forced back. It's not really affecting her farm, but I feel like she'd be further ahead right now than she already is. But it's kind of telling that the Wraith, in spite of all the pressure she's been put on, still top farm on her team.
Yeah, how far ahead would she be, though, if it wasn't in that situation? And look at Sanctuary. They've got layers of players right now. There's always someone. You escape the frying pan into the fire, puts up the frozen shield to try and get out, actually. Just buying some time. Still pretty healthy, and some teammates in and around the area means that they can look to turn this fight if they want. It's a really nice launch going on there. Telekinesis comes in afterwards. The Goo Ball just evaporating from the scene. Just
Combo?
decides to get out. Combo instead, dedicated on top, and both teams are ready to get involved here. Paradox eventually goes down. Kaio overextends. Eric Prince getting the original kill that they were looking for, but Dartian, he's the one to watch. There's too many players around still for 789 for this to be comfortable for RedX. They're going low, they're hiding in corners, they're putting out whatever damage that they can, but there's not enough. In fact, still, they're fighting on almost no HP, and Adrian, the only one that's still involved, go through the items early into the game, as we see Sanctuary 789 coming out with some of their key things, stuff like the Malay lifesteal onto the Abrams, and the big one that was interesting to me was seeing the Viscous going for pure gun damage kind of bulls at the beginning of this. Obviously understands that role and the ability to challenge their opponents and exacerbate this early good start, makes his lives even more difficult. He's pretty much got the sustain and the dodge that they need, doesn't need to invest in vitality, but going to be coming through there, and this I think is going to be the big problem here for Mo and Krill, the ability to get that life drain. Lady Geist wants you to get in close, and then all that help that you've just taken, now I'll take it for myself, thanks.
Yeah, you can't really just jump in. That's kind of how Mo and Krill wants to play, as we see this lane that we were so worried about, it's going the wrong way as far as 789 are concerned. Good work from these two players. The Mirage has now rotated back into this lane, just trying to equalize things by going to that Shiv lane for just a little bit there, hopefully bring him back into the game. And so far, it's been quite helpful, but it's still a 500 soul lead here as we see lane number 3. But it's hard for Mo and Krill to play up into this, because as you say, you can't just run in, steal life and then duel, because Lady Geist is like, this is exactly what I want to do as well. And I think if she gets any kind of lead here, it's going to be tough for Mo and Krill, but so far he's doing a really good job of last hitting as effectively as he can.
Yeah, and I mean, considering that one of Mo and Krill's most powerful level 1 spells is the sand to blind your opponent. Lady Geist, oh, what a shot! Kinetic Carbine, the flank comes out there, tries for the charge in there, and Paradox setting up a good opportunity to even things out and help out the Mo and Krill just a little bit. Doesn't come to any sort of fruition, but certainly gives Lady Geist something to think about and may give them the chance. On the other side, though, Mirage and Wraith, they are having the greatest time that they could in the beginning. These are two characters that have the ability to really cause havoc wherever they decide to make a show. They even get a kill on top of it as Maxicor on that Dynamo gonna get sent back to spawn.
Second time he's died now, but it's been a very dynamic laning phase for both teams. We've seen a lot of rotations to the solo lanes. Of course, the Mirage moving over there to try and get that paradoxical swap comes out very quick to get that up. First player, well, not first player to get the ultimates, but one of the first, but he is going to put pressure. Is the Lash going to get out? Yes, he is. Slides around the corner. Fancy footwork here from the Lash.
Oh, really nicely played to be able to bait out that ultimate and still get out unscathed. Having a Kelvin next door, you've also got that ability. Now the second ultimate comes out. Telekinesis set up there by Infamous Runner and going to be able to pick up one, make it two right then. Dominates the lane as they make a brief appearance across the Malay Brethren.
And this is the difference between RedX versus what we saw from On The Way, right? That lane got absolutely... Oh, Mo and Krill's in trouble here. Big trouble. Is he going to go down? Such low HP. He needs one shot, but Paradox is back. Paradox is putting on the pressure. The Scorn will give him plenty of HP to work with. Now, Soul Exchange still on cooldown. Not even skilled yet. Still only 2.7k in the bank for the Lady Geist. And all of a sudden, what looked like a pretty even lane. Very one-sided, but here comes the Singularity.
Singularity, and then you got your Warden on the side, busy in the middle of Last Stand. That's a great way to try and threaten your opponents, and they managed to pick off this Mirage. A really good start for them as Lady Geist back into lane with a bit of a vengeance, but nice to see the ultimates coming out there early. People understand that cooldowns deserve to be used, and using it on a great position and aggressive posture as well, be able to pick up that kill. Certainly, even though the other one I think was the Wraith got out, it was not on a, it was more of a limp out of there than anything.
Yeah, but it's so important because that lane felt like it was getting out of hand from the Mirage and Wraith's perspective, right? So securing those couple of kills there, it's pretty much, it's pretty even here. Yes, the Wraith still has a pretty healthy advantage over the rest of them, but you're not letting this lane get as out of hand as it looked like it might. But from RedX's perspective, again, you're kind of fine even going even in that lane, given how it seems like 789 have been operating, which is off the back of a Warden who's a good 1-2-3k souls ahead of the rest of the team. But oh my god, the movement, too good. Paradox comes in with the kinetic carbine and fixes his lane right up for a team.
What an intentional play coming out there, but they get themselves costing for it as a nice support of Dynamo just there backing up and getting everyone else. In fact, 789, they want to stick around. They want to fight this. G pays for that try to get something out of the end of that fight, but it was just too much. But like you say, the movement. Oh, the Paradox was hiding around in that mid tower for the longest period of time. Very intentional about the rotations and use that swap to full efficacy, and now actually trying to set up one more. Kinetic carbine charged up, easiest shot onto the shiv, misses the punch actually, and I think it baited it out, but still gets the job done, and that's more kills going the way of 789. This is the movement in the mid game that we wanted to see from them.
Yeah, that's why you banned the hero, right? Altruism. It all makes sense now why it was banned every time they play it. All ultimate from Eric comes out, not enough to help him get out the frozen shelter, freezing him in there and allowing him to secure the kill onto the Abrams. Game is all even. Steven's ultimate altruism 31k to 32k now with that garden falling. It's a little bit, it's still 1k, but now the other way. But this Paradox has been so exceptional at moving around the map and securing kills with that kinetic carbine. You can see now why it's been given such high priority in terms of bans by on the way especially.
Yeah, after 5 weeks, you know the personal flavor of your opponents, and I mean that there was a lot of respect in that previously, as Kelvin now overstays their welcome, and Kaio going to be able to pick that up. And Kaio was, of course, that Vindicta that we saw in the last game. More action continues as Mo and Krill makes for the ground. Actually, it takes a bit of a dive into the sand, still posturing around like they want to come out, but respects their opponents going in there. But I mean, you talk about the Paradox and the number of rotations that are coming out, still sitting at the highest number of souls on the map, just putting it out there.
Yeah, because every time she goes somewhere, they get a kill, right? I don't think we've seen, maybe the very first rotation into that lane number 4, she didn't quite secure a kill. Every time since then, it's been at least one kill. So it's really been perfect execution, often converting it into a tower as well, a guardian. So they've been playing off the back of this Paradox so effectively, and as you say, highest net worth, and that's helped the Warden get back into the game as well. He's highest net worth alongside as well.
Slowing Hex shuts down the Mirage from getting out there, but still had that card, the teleport, to be able to get up and over the bridge. And great attempt from Sanctuary 789 to shut down one of the most elusive characters in the game, but does not come to any sort of fruition. At least gives them some space to keep charging forward, but they would have loved to pick that down and shut away one of the biggest potential carries on their opponent's side. Instead, the action, frenetic as always, continues now in the final lane. But I mean, actually, action everywhere. There's just no stop towards us. Paradox continues this fight, and Dartian on the Warden also going to be involved in that, going to pad their stats with a couple of extra souls.
He almost missed that kill completely. He looks like he didn't know where the Lash was, and he didn't see him when he came around the corner, so he sprinted straight past the Lash. Thankfully turned in time to secure that kill, but we can see now RedX kind of just forcing out some towers here. Force the cube out onto the Mo and Krill. Cube ball comes out as well. Look to get aggressive here. Tornado will keep the Mirage safe, and they're going to kill the Goo Man. No, not quite able to. So a lot of HP traded out there, but eventually, once the dust settles here, it's going to be all even Stevens up in that lane.
Buffs coming up right now, and the change certainly makes it harder to catch. Maxicor going to pay with their life, and one of the first teams to actually contest the 789 are going for that, and they passed it around and they lost their big Dynamo, and not a great way to secure that. So into the hands, at least one of the buffs goes here for RedX. I'm not sure who picked up the other one, but a great start for it. And Sanctuary 789, considering that last game, certainly been restricted in terms of their control of the field.
Yeah, you can see the difference. It was actually Paradox who picked up the gun buff in the other lane, just FYI. So a hero that can make great use of that, move around the map, use that extra movement speed from the kinetic carbine to try and set up some kills, as we've seen them do so effectively. Here we go, gets the swap off. The backup is there from the Viscous. Will they get this kill? No, as you say, Wraith too elusive, so that's an ultimate burn. But every time Wraith shows in the lane, she's getting put under pressure, forced back. It's not really affecting her farm, but I feel like she'd be further ahead right now than she already is. But Kind of telling that the Wraith, in spite of all the pressure she's been put on, still top farm on her team.
Yeah, how far ahead would she be though if she wasn't in that situation? And look at Sanctuary, they've got layers of players right now. There's always someone, you escape the frying pan into the fire, puts up the frozen shield to try and get out actually. Just buying some time, still pretty healthy, and some teammates in and around the area means that they can look to turn this fight if they want. It's a really nice launch going on there. Telekinesis comes in afterwards. The goo ball just evaporating from the scene. Decides to get out. Combo instead dedicated on top, and both teams are ready to get involved here. Paradox eventually goes down. Gaio overextends. Eric Prince getting the original kill that they were looking for, but Dartian, he's the one to watch. There's too many players around still for 789 for this to be comfortable for RedX. They're going low, they're hiding in corners, they're putting out whatever damage that they can, but there's not enough. In fact, still, they're fighting on almost no HP, and Adrian, the only one that's still involved.